Wins it 2-1, but he was not your favorite in this race. We're going to take a timeout. When we return, we will shift scenes over to Hot Springs, Arkansas. We'll check in there when we come back. Stick with us. Just getting started here on America's Day at the Races.
DeMarchelier offers breeders a rare opportunity as the only son of emerging sire of sires, Dubois, standing in Kentucky. His picture-perfect pedigree includes 10 Grade 1 winners under the first 3 dams. Dubois and his sons and grandsons at stud have established stars on both turf and dirt. Now his first foals have arrived. DeMarchelier, standing at Claiborne Farm.
We're back on America's Day at the Races on SNY. Good to have you with us. Greg Wolf, Richard Migliori, Maggie Wolfendale, Jonathan Kinchin, eventually Gary Stevens. Got the whole crew with us this afternoon. Mexican Wonder Boy, Jose Lezcano, Mercant Cantramasi off the claim. Had him for a race, and now he's moving to a new barn, but he gets a win for him in the process.
Yeah, gets the lion's share, or 60% of a $55,000 purse. Claimed the horse for 32, wins and loses the horse for 32. That's a successful claim, and for a horse that has speed, is honest, sets up his own trip, and gets his 7th career victory from 15 starts.
And well done too by Jose Lezcano.
Did a great job. You got a speed horse, but you, outside of the other speeds, you don't have to get engaged, but allowed him to open up at just the right moment. You're always walking a tightrope. Don't want to hold a speed horse up too much, but don't want to use him too much either. He rode the horse absolutely perfect. Paid $690 for the win.
Pick 6. There was a carryover heading into today, just over $28,000. We're headed for another one with 12th man winning at $21 to kick things off. We'll get to the feature coming up next, the Garland of Roses. Right now, it is the 5th out in Hot Springs, Arkansas. 6 furlong sprint, 40,000 starter allowance. Fast going on a nice afternoon there as we start with Much Better, who's the 2-1 favorite.
Inside draw, has speed. Steve Asmussen already over 440 victories this year, and 31% so far at the current Oaklawn stand.
Shotsky just claimed. Son of Blame is a 3-time winner.
Yeah, it was claimed last time up in Saratoga on a 1 1/8. Turns back in distance.
Winner of the 2019 Remsen here in New York. Substantial for Chelsea Moisey, a 4-time winner.
Horse that does have a win at Oaklawn, has been racing more recently Mid-Atlantic, Charlestown, Delaware. See how that form holds up.
Well, Martine, in terms of the majority of this group, this is a lot easier company that this one's going to be facing this afternoon here at 5-1. Ricardo Santana Jr. rides.
Yeah, a horse that has a couple races that would make him very competitive here. Has run well on turf, has run well on dirt.
Faced Bango, was 4th to him in a stake at Ellis back in the summer. Bango would be probably 1 to 5 in this race. Long-term thinking, 5 to 2. Blinkers go on. A horse just claimed by Robertino Diodoro.
Yeah, from a good trainer, Mike Maker, to a good conditioner in Robertino Diodoro.
Johnny Unleashed coming off a third on the grass. Hasn't been on the dirt for a while.
Yeah, and I just don't know that the dirt form would translate here.
And Sturgill 26 to 1 outside.
Horse that's 0 for 5 at Oaklawn Park. It's something I always look at, is particularly at a new meeting, how horses have fared at that particular racetrack before.
All right, this race, again, 6 furlongs, 40,000 starter allowance. We begin our coverage from Hot Springs. We check in with our Hall of Famer, Gary Stevens. Gary, how you doing?
I'm doing well. A lot better than a lot of people out there that had to endure the horrible storms last night in the Midwest. Yesterday it was hot and blustery, and we had a pretty good storm here in Hot Springs last night. A lot of lightning strikes, heavy wind, and lots of rain. Oaklawn has done a wonderful job of getting this track in great order. It was open this morning. It was in good shape. It was a sloppy racetrack, but it's rated fast right now. We've had some winds all morning long. It's died down right now, but perfect racing weather if you like the cold. It's not horrible. It's pretty nice. We've got the Poinsettia Stakes coming up this afternoon. 7 horses in this field featuring Superstock, the Steve Asmussen, Keith Asmussen owned horse that won the Arkansas Derby last year. This is the last time these 3-year-olds will race against just 3-year-olds. Single for 3-year-olds. But Superstock, he's likely to be favored in the race, but it's a great handicapping race. There's several horses in here that are going to make him run if he wants to get the money. So I'm looking forward to this afternoon and some great racing. Greg?
All right, Gary, thank you. Yeah, we're keeping people across 6 different states. These tornadoes ripped through, and Kentucky has been declared a state of emergency right now. So we're keeping everyone in our thoughts and prayers, and very difficult time out there as we get set for this 5th year coming up at Oaklawn. Here's the 6th. This is our favorite, long-term thinking. One of the absolute best claiming trainers in our sport, Robertino Diodoro, taking this horse and adding blinkers today.
And listen, he makes a lot of sense. He certainly is fast enough to win the race. I question horses that have 3 wins, 12 seconds. It just makes you feel like they're not as crazy about running past horses as they are running with horses. Horses are herd animals. Some of them want to be herd leaders, and some are just happy to run with the pack. When I see that many more seconds than wins, it leads me to believe that this horse does not like to go by horses. Does add blinkers. Maybe that equipment change will help his cause.
I got to say, too, he's kind of come around. I mean, a lot of those seconds were piled up when he was still trying to break his maiden. So he's actually won 3 of his last 7 starts. One of those defeats, it wasn't a second, but one of those beats 2 starts back. Sir Alfred James was a horse who was being pointed at the Breeders' Cup Sprint a couple back. That was really tough company. We'll see. Ramon Vasquez aboard with more on this race. Let's go to Jonathan.
Yeah, guys, look, I was a little bit concerned about what the price was going to be on the 2 Much Better. I don't love the draw. Look, in general, in dirt races with horses that aren't definitely going to go to the front, I'd prefer be drawn towards the outside. Even if it's a horse with a lot of speed, I still prefer the outside. I feel like you have more choices, more options from the outside. With that said, Much Better is a horse that makes a little bit of sense to me. This horse did not run well last time, but he got hooked in a speed duel on a sloppy racetrack at Keeneland, so I'll forgive him for that. Not only did he get hooked in a sloppy racetrack, he got hooked in the middle of Steve Asmussen's probably one of his biggest cold streaks of recent time. He did terrible. The horses did not run, and they didn't have the luck that they typically have at Keeneland, so I'm going to forgive him for that performance, and I'm going to expect him to run much better in here. So, and I'll take the price as well. They got it listed at 5 to 2 on the board right now. I think the 2 Much Better will appreciate the cutback, appreciate getting off of the slop, and catching a little bit of a warmer Steve Asmussen.
All right, JK, thanks. 5 to 2 from that inside post. I mean, last time he was on a fast track at Ellis, he faced Long Weekend. Pretty talented sprinter for Tom Amis. As we see the 6 move in. Long-term thinking, Diodoro off the claim. Last 2 set to move in from the outside. Vic Stauffer with the call. Race 5 from Oaklawn.
Last to load is Sturgill. They're at the post. They're off. Much Better and Johnny Unleashed break well. Shotsky is towards the back of the pack. Sturgill's on the move in the center, and here's Sturgill to clear off and take the lead. So Sturgill's the front runner from Much Better and Johnny Unleashed, then Lamartine and Long Term Thinking. Shotsky is second to last, and the trailer is Substantial. From the outside to the two-path, and Sturgill has the lead, but he's left the rail open for Much Better and David Cabrera to come through, so Sturgill leads by a neck. Much Better is alongside in second. It's a length and a half to Johnny Unleashed and a 3-wide Long Term Thinking. Substantial's up into fifth now and about 4 from the front, 2.5 in front of Lamartine. Shotsky is the trailer, and Sturgill is still the leader. It is Sturgill in front. Much Better is now under the whip at the rail in the second. Lamartine and a 4-wide Long Term Thinking. Substantial at the rail, 5 across the racetrack. Sturgill just half ahead in front. Even Shotsky's about to join this party, and you better take a look at Shotsky in the red blinkers. He's on the move. So Johnny Unleashed now has the lead, but Shotsky and Substantial are trying to get him. Johnny Unleashed, Shotsky between horses. Substantial at the rail. Johnny Unleashed, Substantial, and Shotsky. I think Substantial got there on the fence. It's 3 across the track. Substantial, Shotsky, and Johnny Unleashed. I think it's Substantial.
Well, we'll trust Vic Stauffer, the 3, the 4, the 7, all right there. Vic believes it is Substantial, that 4 to the inside for Chelsea Moisey. Final jump, it looked like the 7 with all the momentum late, but that shifts right here. Does look like inside.
Yeah, Substantial with a 5-pound apprentice aboard who looked good finishing on this horse. Rider that has 76 wins this year, gets his first Oaklawn Park victory. Substantial coming out of races at Charlestown, Delaware, although did win at Oaklawn last winter. And obviously trying to decipher the form from other jurisdictions. You know, certainly makes sense. So it's John Giraldo, the apprentice, gets his victory on Substantial. Of course, most recently seen at Charlestown. Was in a stake at Delaware not too long before that. So good run up the inside. I tell you, the horse that surprised me is the runner-up, the 7, Johnny Unleashed. You know, I thought his dirt form left a lot to be desired, but he loomed up like he was going to win it under Florent Giroux just to get pipped at the wire.
And it has been unofficially posted as the 4, Substantial, as your winner. And by the way, former Remsen winner running pretty good here in defeat, Shotsky.
Yeah, Shotsky ran really well. A horse that obviously has a lot of back class and turning back in distance for the first start for Carl Broberg, off the claim.
But it's Substantial at 8-1 and a tight 3-way finish for the victory. Well, the prices when we come back, we're going to take a timeout. Feature next here at Aqueduct, the Garland of Roses 6-furlong sprint, the speed of the race. Sadie Lady, can she overcome an off track?
I bought a Tapper colt at the Keeneland September sale and incredibly excited about that purchase. It was a colt that had plenty of size and scope and carried himself with a real presence that drew me to him.
I bought a Tapper colt out of Black Coronas at the Fasey-Tipton July sale, out of a Curlin mare, big, beautiful horse. We're real excited about him coming up in the spring.
Tappert, standing at Gainesway.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Good Magic's in front. Good Magic pulls away from Sobomini. Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Good Magic to the front of the field in the Toyota Bluegrass to win it.
The champ is back. Good Magic in a good-looking performance.
800,000, 75, 875, 8.5. Pete, 775,000. Thank you.
Backstretch workers are the backbone of the thoroughbred racing industry. Without them, racing would not be possible. The New York Racetrack Chaplaincy provides vital programs and services to all the workers and their families, like Sponsor a Family, the Food Pantry, as well as other recreational activities and events. You can help by visiting our website and donating today. Every dollar makes a difference to those who give everything to the sport that we love.
And the field is at the top of the stretch. It is Live Wire Lil and Valerone, and they're heads apart with Hershey Kisses racing in third. West Secret is in fourth. Live Wire Lil comes away with the lead. Hershey Kisses driving in second. Live Wire Lil with the lead. They come down to the finish, and Live Wire Lil does it.
Field got migged. Does that feel like 21 years ago?
No, my body feels like it was 21 years ago now, but just a real honest filly for Steve Cosaris and his wife Lillian, hence Live Wire Lil, owner and trainer. Steve had been my agent, went back to training, and very, very honest little filly, tough, always tried hard, and got it done. Turned the tables on Hershey Kisses, who beat her the start before in an allowance race under Mike Luzzi, but we came back and got a revenge in the Garland of Roses.
So aerodynamic.
You know, for a guy that was the center on the jockey basketball team, I got pretty low.
This filly right here in this year's edition of the Garland of Roses, Glass Ceiling, that was a monster effort last start when she just missed a Lady Rocket, who we talked about top of the show, came back and ran faster than they did in the Cigar Mile in her go-for-one victory. And Glass Ceiling had run a similar race the start before. She's the 2-to-1 favorite. Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
She has every right to be the 2-to-1 favorite, Greg, as she has just run faster, especially recently, than any of the other fillies or mares in here. Now, looking at her physically overall, she looks great. But one thing that I've noticed in her last two efforts is that relative to her previous form, she was so much more calm in those Belmont efforts, running out of her own stall for Charlie Baker, didn't get hot, didn't get edgy in any sense of the word. Today, she's back to that. Could have no bearing on how she runs today, but just a bit of a difference in what I've seen from her from those Belmont starts to this Aqueduct start in this Garland of Roses. But look, she can even run a little slower than what she has as of late and still win here, because some of the other horses, their recent form coming in here might not be that great, and that does include number 6, Sadie Lady, who is the clear-cut speed in here. To be fair, maybe that does give her an advantage, but her performances on wet tracks have just not been as good, and she has to come back on a wet track as she did in that Union Avenue. Now it looks as though the time off has done her well, and she looks fit, she looks strong, she looks much the same as she typically does when she's in good form here for Rob Atras. So I think her speed advantage does make her a serious threat in here as well. So take a look at the new, what kind of new face. She has run at Naira before, and it was a win. 2 back for number 7, Song River. She's a filly that does have a little bit of trouble getting out of the gate at times. She might be a little bit of a nervous one to stand in there. Last time she hopped up, she's done it before. She kind of breaks awkwardly at times. So hopefully she behaves. Hopefully that doesn't put her behind the 8 ball too much here. But I like what I'm seeing from her, especially given the track condition. She looks like a wet track horse, smaller, just very agile in the way she's put together. Very quiet in the paddock. Honestly, it's the first time I'm seeing her, but physically overall, I love just her conditioning, her flash. I think she's an interesting player coming in here for Cherie DeVoe in this Garland of Roses, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. She's won 2 in a row, and the first of those to win, she beat this filly, who's the big favorite. But the difference is Glass Ceiling, since that defeat, when she ran third to Song River, her next 2 starts, she's just gone to another level.
Yeah, her last 2 starts make her a standout if she can run to those races. Interesting, Maggie's notes about her just being a little bit more edgy, a little bit more keyed up, shipping over from Belmont Park to Aqueduct. We don't stable horses here at Aqueduct anymore. They're all stabled at Belmont, and they have to van over the day of the race.
5 minutes away from our feature coming up here. There's Garland of Roses, post-parade coming up. So Glass Ceiling, Dylan Davis remains the favorite. We'll get to her in a moment. We start with Call on Mischief, who's coming in off a stakes victory out of town.
A stakes victory at Mountaineer, a filly that will be close to the pace. Jose Lezcano looking for his 3rd consecutive victory.
10 times in 22 starts. She's been first or second 4 wins. Glass ceiling for Charlie Baker.
It just feels like this filly really kind of developed and found her game.
This long shot I thought was very interesting, if not for the off track. She's really struggled on the off going the last 2 starts.
8 for 16 at Aqueduct, was in raging form here heading out of last winter. Can she find that form again?
Just read it. Ray Handel won the Cicada back in March.
Against 3-year-olds, it's going to have to get faster, though.
Starfront looked extremely promising after a big debut for Chad Brown. She struggled the last couple, certainly the last start in the pumpkin pie.
She was a big favorite over Glass Ceiling and was well beaten by that rival.
Here's Sadie Lady. She will control up front. She looks like the speed of the speed. She's not been as good on an off track.
Yeah, she's very quick, and she's 5 for 8 at Aqueduct, but 0 for 2 on off tracks, a little bit unsettling.
And Song River, this is the filly who beat the favorite Glass Ceiling. That came for her 2 starts back, and she backed that up with a win next time out of Churchill on an off track.
Yeah, and when she didn't break particularly well, she kind of hopped at the break. Outside post should help. She's not going to be far away.
But you look at the numbers she's won those last 2 races with, including the win over Glass Ceiling, and they don't come close to what this filly has produced since that time in her next 2 starts.
Well, it just feels like Glass Ceiling kind of found another level. She just, got very, very good. You see her in behind horses here with Dylan Davis. He's got 2 armfuls of horse. He angles out to the clear. And your favorite that day, Starfront, who's in here, the Juddmonte filly, had absolutely no response or no excuse. Just could not keep pace with Glass Ceiling, who's just very, very good. And she's got the right style, too, because there is some speed in here. She should be sitting right in behind the pace and make her run.
She's the 2-1 favorite, trying to win for the 5th time in her career. As we approach the 2-minute mark to post, let's check in with Jonathan.
Yeah, look, Glass Ceiling's going to be my top choice in here. I got another interesting idea with the 680 Lady, but the 2 Glass Ceilings just run too fast in her last 2 races. I'm a big speed figure guy. I believe in speed figures. I believe in the science behind them. And basically, if you're new to the game, it's a way for us to understand how fast races are and to compare different surfaces, different racetracks, in different track conditions. If there's moisture in the track, it can be a little bit faster. So how do you compare 2 different horses' performances on that same racetrack on different days? Speed figures is the answer. Glass Ceiling is just faster. What a claim. They claimed this horse for $40,000. She's been very productive since then. And I think, just based on figures, she's going to be the horse to beat in here. Now, my concern is that she's a shorter price than I would prefer. The other horse I think that's interesting is a 6, Sadie Lady, for a couple of reasons. One, she loves Aqueduct. She's run there 8 times. She's won 5. That's not completely common, you'll see in horse racing. The other part is that she's run well fresh, off a layoff, given some time in between her starts. She hasn't run since August, and in her career, she's come off of layoffs about 9 times, depending on what you declare as a layoff, 45 days, sometimes longer, and she's won 2 of those races. She runs well coming in fresh. I like her draw towards the outside as well. So the 2 is going to be my top choice, but I know a lot of you out there are allergic to betting the chalk. Play the 6.
9-2. Thank you, Jonathan, on Sadie Lady, who's going to be in front, going to try and wire this field. We'll see if she can overcome an 0 for 2 record on the outgoing. This is a look at a fast track. It was at Belmont, 2 starts back at the Dancing Renee, and again, she got out in front and was able to dominate this field on the front end.
Yeah, she's a filly that's quick, but when she gets to get a little bit comfortable and they can allow her to kind of open up in the middle of the race, put some padding between her and the other horses, some separation, because she always seems to get a little bit late. So if you can get the first quarter the right way and then get away from horses from leaving the 3/8 pole, that's how she runs best.
Now with more on the speedster, let's head down to Maggie.
And it's so true. I mean, you can tell that Sadie Lady really responds favorably to a freshening, to a layoff. And Rob Atcher is citing that, sent her down to Florida for a little 30-day respite, and she's returned very well in regards to her training. It's just a wet track that throws a little bit of a curveball, or else I'd be all over Sadie Lady. Do want to talk about Starfront as the continuation of confidence from trainer Chad Brown, I think, speaks a little bit in that he doesn't just put her back in an allowance race. He doesn't drop her in class after some disappointing efforts. She was part of or close to a pace that collapsed in that somewhat lesser regarded version of the pumpkin pie. she's very sharp today, more so than what I've seen from her in the past. Very vascular, very fit looking too. So I just think she's interesting based on her trainer's confidence as well, Greg.
Well, it's a good man to have the confidence of, Chad Brown, one of the absolute best in the business. We'll see if Starfront can move forward. But it just doesn't give you confidence that Pumpkin Pie was on a sloppy track, and that was the lowest number she's ever earned. We'll see what happens here. Our feature from Aqueduct, the Garland of Roses. Let's go upstairs to John Imbrial with the call.
Set for the start of race 8, the Garland of Roses Stakes. And they're off. It is Sadie Lady who goes out for the early lead. It is Sadie Lady in front. Let Me Take This Call runs in second. Song Rivers on the outside in third. Call on Mischief down at the rail in fourth. Just Read It is next in fifth. Starfront far outside. And the early trailer is Glass Ceiling in seventh. Sadie Lady is the leader here by a length and a half. Song River up on the outside, second by a head. Let Me Take This Call down towards the rail in third. The quarter went in 22 and 1. It is Sadie Lady, the leader here by a little more than a length. Let Me Take This Call down at the rail in second. Then comes Song River, Starfront on the extreme outside. Call on Mischief is advancing now in between horses. And then at the back is a Glass Ceiling. As the field comes into the stretch, still Sadie Lady there. The half 45 and 3. Glass Ceiling is gobbling up the slop on the outside. Here comes Glass Ceiling, who has now taken over the lead. Call on Mischief has moved into second. Let Me Take This Call. And Sadie Lady, Glass Ceiling, with a last to first victory in the Garland of Roses. Call on Mischief was second. Let Me Take This Call finished third.
Another big performance here from Glass Ceiling. Dylan Davis, far back in this field early on, had to swing pretty wide around that turn, but dominant.
Yeah, she didn't break very, very sharply, was resenting the kickback, the mud thrown back in her face. Dylan wheeled her to the outside. Even though she had to lose ground, once she got out of that kickback, you could see her stride changed, her head, lowered, and she started to pick up the horses quite readily and was much the best. Glass Ceiling in raging form for trainer Charlie Baker. Call on Mischief. Nice run from her to come up second best here. Sadie Lady got everything the way she wanted it, was loose on the lead, probably just didn't care for the off-going.
8-5 in the end on Glass Ceiling. She's now won 2 of her last 3 and just missed by a head in that defeat against Lady Rocket, who ran one of the biggest figures in her division all year long.
I mean, he keeps on flattering Lady Rocket, flattered her form. Now she's flattering Lady Rocket's form. The horse is just in very, very good form. Only moment of worry was when she wasn't handling that kickback, but Dylan definitely kind of swooped her to the clear, had to lose ground, but sometimes you're better off losing the ground and letting your horse find their stride.
And another reason why this game is so great, yeah, an 8-5 favorite wins, but you can create value underneath if you had Call on Mischief. And let me take this call. 10-1, 21-1 underneath over the 8-5 favorite in that 2-1-3 finish. We're going to take a timeout. When we return, Ron Moquette of Whitmore fame might have the one to beat coming up in second-time starter 110 Stadium when we get to Hot Springs next.
Run Happy is the #1 second prop sire by stakes winners, graded stakes winners, and earnings. Run Happy is represented by Smile Happy, the Kentucky Derby individual Future Pool 1 favorite. A leading dirt sire, and now with an exciting Kentucky Derby hopeful. Call Bernie Sams now and book your mare to Eclipse Champion Run Happy right now. Run Happy standing in stall 1 at Claiborne Farm.
We're back at America's Day at the Races. Good to have you with us. Program presented, where you can play it all at Naira Bets. Go to nairabets.com or download that Naira Bets app to get signed up and started. Feature, Garland of Roses goes to a filly in just exceptional form right now. Glass ceiling for Charlie Baker. Dylan Davis aboard for the win. Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
So pleased to be joined by Charlie Baker here, conditioner of Glass Ceiling. And Charlie, back-to-back victories, third victory overall in the Garland of Roses, all with fillies or mares that you claimed. And this one here, Glass Ceiling, what has been the turning point with her?
I think she's maturing as a 4-year-old. I think that's just the thing. She's maturing as a 4-year-old, and the switch went off, and I think she just trying to show that right now.
Were you a little bit nervous, though, in the running of this race early on?
Because speed was the favorite all day, so it's like at the back of the pack, I was figuring, but once she turned for woman, I knew she was going to kick on by.
And Charlie, you've had success. Obviously, you've won great stakes with horses that you've claimed. What do you look for in assessing horses that you might be able to pick up and have this kind of stake success?
Well, I've been watching her for a while. I've been watching her. I've been wanting to claim her. I didn't claim her in Saratoga when they got claimed for 32 because we didn't have enough money in the account. But the first time I get a chance to claim her, and I like the sire, and I'm thinking if we can get a great. Not even a grade, just a stake win or a stake place with her, she might be some residual value to her. So I'm always looking for that residual value. So if we get a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, early 3-year-old, 4-year-old that we can get to run a little bit better than they're running, we might have something. So that's basically what I was looking for with her. Other horses, we just, you go in and claim horses, that's day-to-day horses, but sometimes you're looking for special horses, so you're trying to find one that might turn out. And we've been fortunate over the years to find a few that turns out to be pretty good.
Well, Charlie, congratulations. You've gotten your black type with her. She's a stakes winner now.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, I need that.
All right, Garland of Roses winner, Glass Ceiling this year, Greg, once again, a daughter of Constitution.
Yeah, Maggie and I keep doing these stakes previews and wrap-up shows, and we keep talking about Constitution and how many runners he keeps producing. Another one here, Glass Ceiling, now 5th time that she has won. And it's been really remarkable, the change from her. I know Charlie said, as you heard him there, it's been her 4-year-old campaign. Really been the last 3 starts. It's been the big difference.
Yeah, into the fall of her 4-year-old year. Horses don't fully mature till the age of 5. She's a few weeks shy of her official 5th birthday. All thoroughbreds turn a year older on January 1st.
Back to Oaklawn. This 6th race kicks off the late Pick 5 in Hot Springs. 3/4 of a mile. State-bred maiden special weight. We talked about Ron Moquette going to break. He's going to send out the 6-110 Stadium, who does have a start under his belt, and there he is, the son of Race Days, the 5-2 favorite. Let's check in, though, with Gary Stevens and talk about being drawn outside in a race like this. Gary.
Well, especially with these young horses, and here at Oaklawn Park, they've got a very short run out of that chute crossing onto the main track. And the thing is there's a gap right there where the horses enter on and off of the racetrack in the morning. So the horses are aware of that. And these young horses, if they draw the outside, they're looking at that gap a lot of the times. Florent Giroux, who is drawn the outside on Aloe Henry on the 12th horse, he's aware of it as well. So he's going to be, that's going to be in the back of his mind when he comes out of the starting gate. And then the main thing you want to do is save ground. Work your way over as gracefully as you can, as smooth as you can to save ground going into that turn. You've got quite a long run going into that turn to put you 3/8 of a mile from home. But the thing you want to do with these young horses is keep as much dirt out of their face as you can, and find the safest and easiest passage that you can for these young horses. Just to his inside is Ricardo Santana on a horse that's getting a lot of action right now. Wayland Springs, first-time starter, being bet on right now. And both these guys tactically are very, very sound in their race riding. So I've got a feeling that the 11 horse is going to show some speed. Florent Giroux is going to try and probably follow Ricardo Santana and try and have him get him to the glory land. That's the way I used to play it, Greg.
And, of course, Gary did it as good, if not better, than most who've ever done it in this sport. The 12, Aloe Entry, Mig, this horse does have a race under his belt. was at Delta Downs. Didn't show a lot in that race, and you look at it and you may say, oh, took a lot of money in that race. It was not him taking the money. It was a stablemate who took all that money, Drifter, that other half of the entry. Actually wound up second in that race. We'll see. I mean, this horse still has to prove something on the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, the first race just was not very good. And you've got two other horses that are running here that had very good outings first time out. The Ron Marquette train number 6, 110 Stadium, ran at Remington Park in Oklahoma, rallied to be second, a well-beaten second, but ran second. And the 9 horse, Razzo, also at Hawthorne Open Company, rallied from off the pace to be second. Now, just to give you an idea, there are roughly 21,000 thoroughbred foals born in the United States in North America in 2019. Well, in 2019, this race is restricted to Arkansas breds. There were 150 Arkansas breds. So you're shrinking the gene pool that they have to compete with from over 20,000 to 150 two-year-olds that would be actually eligible for this race.
Wow. Razzo right now 7-2 on the board. The 5-1 on the board. With more on this horse, let's go to JK.
You know, a horse I thought was interesting at a little bit of a price, especially with these first-time starters, is the 9, Razzo. I like horses who take a little bit of money on debut and don't run poorly. Razzo ran well that day after breaking slow and came running on. Here's a couple of things to keep in mind. Razzo did not run with Lasix that day, gets Lasix today. Razzo also has 3 siblings, Honey Hush, Sandy Sangria, and Kiss My Bling, that were all unbelievably fast early in their races. I'm hoping that with the experience, with the Lasix, and remembering who Razzo is related to, Razzo will be more forward and run just as well, if not better, than last time.
We'll find out a little bit better, a little bit of improvement here, and that could land this one certainly in the winner's circle. 110 Stadium, though, the 6 at 5-2, ran a much bigger figure first time out. And the Dam, by the way, Trip Mom, this is her second foal. Her first foal wound up being a 9-time winner.
You like mares that produce, and you see it consistently. When a mare's a producer, her offspring tend to run well. And again, I go back to the fact that we're shrinking the gene pool so much for these horses that have already competed well in Open Company. Now, the one difference with 110 Stadium is that this horse did compete on Lasix. At Remington Park, they allow 2-year-olds to race on Lasix, as they do at Oakland, where Razzo was at Hawthorne, where he was not allowed to compete on Lasix. So maybe that can help improve this horse a great deal.
And meanwhile, that 11 as well that Gary brought up, Son of Street Sense, debuting. Ricardo Santana Jr. shows up there, continuing to take money down to 7-2 right now. Wheeling Springs.
Well, short-leaf stable, John Ed Anthony, son of Street Sense, very well bred, but foaled in the state of Arkansas, is a registered Arkansas bred with a steady work tab. I also do think, though, that short-leaf stable, particularly how John Ed Anthony has supported racing in Arkansas and Oakland for so many years, I think his horses always take attention no matter what.
Pick 5 begins here. Part of that sequence, of course, a Poinsettia, race 9, and Arkansas Derby winner Superstock back in Hot Springs for the first time since that victory. Let's go to Vic Stauffer to kick off the sequence.
All in good time. Wayland Springs. Last to load. Hello, Henry. They're at the post. They're off. Pacific Harbor broke well. Aloe Henry and Max's Heart, Full Buck Moon and Wayland Springs close up. Razzo checks off heels. All in good time and 110 Stadium in a mix for the front. Then comes Where's Randy, followed by Peace Dog, and the trailer is Street Commander. It is Max's Heart just in front of, to the outside, and Aloe Henry, and at the rail Pacific Harbor. These three now across the track. Where's Randy has moved up into fourth, and boy, is he in a tight spot at the rail. Meanwhile, to the outside and Peace Dog, Razzo, and between horses 110 Stadium. Then a length and a half to Street Commander, who's moving up. Just inside of him goes All in Good Time, and now the trailer is Full Buck Moon, absolutely wide open as they run around the far turn. Here's Wayland Springs to put just ahead in front, but he's immediately confronted by Razzo on the outside, and now Razzo takes the neck lead. Wayland Springs still right there. Between horses Aloe Henry. Where's Randy? Nowhere to go, searching for a spot. Where's Randy gonna go? He's gonna try to get through. Meanwhile, 110 Stadium has taken the lead. Here's 110 Stadium. Wayland Springs. Where's Randy? Too late. 110 Stadium in front. 110 Stadium won by 2. Where's Randy? An unlucky second. Wayland Springs third. Razzo fourth.
Well, it's Ramo Quet, 110 Stadium with the victory, but there's no question it was best in this race. Where's Randy? That gray, nowhere to go for a majority of this stretch, and then finally, I believe, gets second. It was close.
Where's Randy? Well, Randy was in everybody's back pocket but his own. He just from the rail didn't break very sharply, dragged Christian Torres up into a tough spot behind horses. Very rare to see a first-time starter, particularly in behind horses inside, be as bold as Where's Randy was. And then he was just stymied at every corner, every place Christian Torres looked to go. He was stopped, finally got clear, and it looks like he got up for second. But boy, you want to talk about a horse that showed a great deal on debut in Where's Randy, but 110 Stadium gets the money.
He's going to be favored next time out off that performance. We have the nightcap still to come from Aqueduct. And this one dropping in class. Donny, Brook Girl, probably the one to beat. We'll be back.
Respect the law. He's earned it. A Grade 1 winning juvenile.
'Tis the law, pops the cork in the champagne.
A classic winning 3-year-old.
'Tis the law is gonna win the first leg of the Triple Crown.
5 triple-digit buyers.
Respect the law, 'tis the law.
The best son of Red Hot Sire Constitution.
He's left the others behind. He's gonna win the Run Happy Travers.
'Tis the law.
Introducing Adelphi Racing Club, the horse racing syndicate offering more than just fractional ownership. Enjoy the thrill of an interactive thoroughbred ownership experience competing at the sport's highest level. Attend events where you'll interact with top trainers, industry professionals, and club members. We've cheered on winners from coast to coast at top tracks such as Santa Anita and Saratoga.
And it will be Exotic West.
Become part of a group that celebrates success together. Visit AdelphiRacing.com and join the club today.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program because New York Reds start with an advantage. New York Reds run for Sirius Green at Belmont and Saratoga. New York Bred Maidens run for up to $75,000 and allowance horses for up to $85,000. And Sirius New York Bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race in open company. So get back with the program. Seriously.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
We are back on America's Day at the Races. Good to be with you. Program brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. This 9th race, 6 furlong, 16,000 non-winners at 2 claiming race. Did someone forget to tell me this race was on the grass or something? Why is the 2 favorite Bella Principessa seems to be more of a turf horse? Maybe we'll like the off-going in here. There she is. 5-2 for Rudy Rodriguez. Manny Franco rides. Let's head downstairs to Maggie.
Yeah, I think Bella Principessa, despite having maybe faster numbers on the turf and going longer, I think she fits quite nicely with this crew. Overall, just the best looking filly amongst these. And I've always thought shorter might be better for her. And you look at her dirt races and, you know, most of them, or half of them, have been contested over wet track. She's handled it fine against arguably tougher competition. I think she is the horse to beat here. I prefer her at 5-2 than the outside runner, who we'll get to in a moment, that has a lot of question marks, at least in my book. As we'll move on to one coming in here from Finger Lakes, and you know, a lot of times in these types of spots, he's not in too life. You're drawn to the horses that have a little less starts and have been exposed a little less. That's number 11. Tango Berg did win a cheap lower level maiden claimer, but does look fast. Though she does look distance challenged as well. I mean, she is quarter horse-esque. She is about as wide as she is tall, massive engine on her. Yes, she will likely be up front on the engine. I just don't think she'll stick around for the 6 furlongs. Though maybe she is a bit dangerous from that perspective, at least being up close. As we'll move on to the 14, Donny Brook Girl. This one is your current second choice, as she does drop in for a tag for the first time after a basically eased effort in which, you know, part of the pace that did collapse that day, but she did show up as well wearing an extension blinker in that Parks effort. She's wearing it here once again. I watched the turf race. Maybe she wanted to get out a little bit on the turn, though there was nothing that dramatic, and sometimes a tight configured turf race, horses will tend to drift a bit. Maybe she's doing it in the mornings. She's wearing a Houghton bit as well, a bit that I talk about with horses that want to lean in or lean out. I don't know. Like I said, Greg, I much prefer taking Bella Principessa. I just feel a little more comfortable in suggesting her over Donny Brook Girl.
Both of those two, the 14 at 5-2 on the board, but it's this 14 who is your slight favorite in here, and she's obviously coming in from out of town, but her dirt form, she has it against tougher in here. She broke her maiden, a straight maiden race in Parks on the main track. As we get to Queen Tigua from the inside.
Yeah, tough post for a filly that is going to have to be faster than I've seen.
So here's Bella Principessa. Her win, 2 seconds, 2/3, all have come on the grass.
Well, top class connections and dropping in class. Obviously no turf racing. They got to give her a try here.
Hey, it's Tati for Danny Gargan.
I like this filly a little bit. Gets his break in the weights with 7-pound apprentice. Was well beaten last time, but that was by Casilda 40 Tails, who came back and won by about 10 lengths just the other day.
Betty Smiles, she had a runner-up finish in the slop at Finger Lakes in July.
A filly that can definitely be a part of the pace.
Bustin' My Groove. Amira Shishakli just claimed.
A horse that's compiled a lot more seconds, 7 seconds as compared to 1 win, but she runs good enough to be involved here.
7 seconds and 14 starts, so 50% strike rate, runner-up. Mission Trail, 39-1.
And rightfully so. Last couple races leave a lot to be desired.
Cause to Dream, 13-1 here, 0 for 3 on the off-going.
Yeah, but another one, her better races actually put her in the frame here.
Here's Tango Berg, and that debut at Finger Lakes at a low level. It was a win by a neck.
Yeah, like Maggie said, at least she's not exposed. She's only run the one time, and it came away with a victory, albeit, you know, pretty slow figure.
Charlotte Webley, slight drop down in class.
Better races have been on turf, though.
And current favorite, and with the drop in class from out of town here, Donny Brook, I thought a deserving favorite in here, Kendrick Carmouche. John Service, she has speed as well.
Yeah, speed. Get Kendrick Carmouche. Has been riding lights out since we started this Aqueduct winter meeting. Has that extension blinker, and that's something a rider, and obviously Kendrick has a world of experience, has to be careful about, because a lot of the horses' outside eye is covered. There's less peripheral vision. You have to make sure the eye that doesn't have the blinker cup, the inside eye, sees the V in the doors of the gate, because horse reacts when the doors open for the visual effect, and if their head's cocked at all towards the inside, they won't see the break.
2 minutes to post here coming up in the nightcap. But look here at Bustin' My Groove with more on this 3-year-old filly. Let's go to JK.
Yeah, guys, I went with the 6, Busting My Groove, and most people would think that that's because typically in the after hours when I'm at a nightclub or something, I'm out here busting my groove, but that's not actually the reason why. I think I liked the horse in here because the horse has tactical speed. I like horses that can run early. I thought last time the race, she was drifting poorly last time, and I'm hoping maybe there were some situations that led to that and have been resolved. I like horses that have speed, especially at these lower levels, and I think Busting My Groove makes a little bit of sense at 6 to 1 and is a nice little price. The other horse that I'll talk about is the horse drawn towards the outside, the 14, Donny Brook. This is a horse that I think is interesting as well, just off the heavy drop. This is a horse that's also shown some talent. I'm not crazy about the price, but if we're strictly talking about a win proposition, a get-out horse, as it were, I think the 14, Donny Brook Girl is one you'd want to take into account. But if we're looking for a get-out horse, Maggie, can you help us?
I don't know. I don't particularly trust Donny Brook Girl here, but we'll see. Maybe she just will like the competition she's running to today. But I thought the horse that Richie was talking about that he finds intriguing is also the same as number 3. Hey, It's Toddy. Tango beginning last time out, just, then kind of had to rush up to hoping for a better break this time. She looks great. I mean, Danny Gargan's horses do tend to appear that way as he's looking for his second win here on the better priced alternative to your 2 favorites in here. I thought she made a boatload of sense, and I think she can run better than that first race for the barn would indicate, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. 2 to 1 favorite remains out on board there, and he's going to be aggressive and try and take advantage of her speed.
Yeah, but also having the outside post gives him the luxury. If she doesn't break ultra sharp, he's not running the risk of getting squeezed between 2 horses. He can still kind of let her get her feet up underneath her and then use her speed in an efficient manner, if you will.
Loading up. There's Bella Principessa, Rudy Rodriguez. See if she can take to the off-going here. Second choice on the board at 5 to 2 as we see the 10 step in. This closes out the card from New York. Much more, though, coming up from Oaklawn. So stay with us. Let's go upstairs. John Imbrial. We have a rider off here.
It's Eric Cancel on that horse that Maggie talked about, Tango Berg, who won first time out, showing so much speed, being a little bit reluctant. Now, all jurisdictions share information about horses' habits, how they act at the gate. Gate crews coast to coast have gotten so good at communicating horses' little picadillos, if you will.
So you see loading this filly up without Cancel, and he'll hop aboard. She's in. There's Eric. Let's go back to John Imbrial.
Board. Waiting for Bustin' My Groove and Donny Brook Girl. Ready for the 9th race finale. And they're off. Queen Tigua from the rail out for the lead, but there goes Tango Berg, and on the extreme outside, Donny Brook Girl. Tango Berg, Donny Brook Girl, they are heads apart, and they've opened up 2 lengths on Queen Tigua, who's down at the rail in 3rd. On the outside is Charlotte Webley next in 4th. Then comes Betty Smile, who's running in 5th. Bella Principessa down at the inside in 6th. Cause the Dream is next in 7th, followed by Hey, It's Toddy, who's running in 8th. Bustin' My Groove is next in 9th. And at the back is Mission Trail in 10th. First quarter, 22 seconds. Tango Berg leads here with Queen Tigua taking 2nd. Donny Brook Girl on the outside is now back running in 3rd. Bella Principessa gains some ground in 4th as they come off the turn and enter the stretch. And it is a Tango Berg on the outside, Queen Tigua. Bella Principessa splits those 2 and now takes the lead. Bella Principessa is in front and getting away from Queen Tigua, and a Tango Berg on the outside is Charlotte Webley. Bella Principessa opening up as they come on for the finish, and it will be Bella Principessa and Manny Franco. Queen Tigua was 2nd, and Mission Trail came from way out of it to complete the trifecta.
Bella Principessa, first time hitting the board on the main track, gets the win here. They were flying up front.
Very, very fast pace for lower level horses. They went 22 to the first quarter. That's about as quick a fraction as we saw all afternoon. And Bella Principessa was never very far away, always in decent enough position. 6-7 lengths back and got that sweet run. Watch Manny Franco able to find that seam right in between horses, never had to stop his momentum or alter course, and she just splits horses very adroitly here and drew off as much the best.
Saved a lot of ground, got a great trip on the inside, got a hot pace up front too, but still won going away impressively. I don't know if it would have made a difference.
Well, class relief always helps. I mean, she's a filly that's run with better her entire career, drops down to a lower level. Maggie talked about it and said that she looked good in the paddock and looked like she would handle the dirt, and obviously she did.
Nice call, Maggie. Yeah, Bella Principessa 5-2. You got a 63-1 shot, 82-1 shot underneath. 2-1-9-3 finish.
Wow, we're going to see some big balloons here with exactas and trifectas. And I turned to you as they were loading in the gate, and I said, this is the kind of race there could be some chaos. You like anybody at a real short price? Well, Bella Principessa, she was very good at a short price, but certainly a lot of chaos underneath.
Manny Franco closes out this Aqueduct card with a W. We're going to head back over to Hot Springs, Arkansas when we return. Their feature still coming up. We're getting into the pick 4 when we return. That Poinsettia and Arkansas Derby winner Superstock getting ready to do his thing for Steve Asmussen. We'll be back.
A Grade 1 winner on both dirt and turf, War of Will became a classic winner with this victory in the Preakness Stakes. And added a Grade 1 with turf credentials in the Maker's Mark Mile. A winner in Grade 1 placed at 2. Multiple graded stakes victor at 3 and Grade 1 winner again at 4. This son of Warfront has proven his class at every level. At Keeneland November, his first mares and foals sold up to $310,000. War of Will, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on America's Day at the Races, presented by Naira Bets, where you can play all the action we bring you. Go to nairabets.com, download the app. Bella Principessa, Manny Franco, Rudy Rodriguez, and a daughter of Constitution winning on the off track to close out this Aqueduct card.
So Constitution late double here. Glass ceiling to Bella Principessa, who got a real nice trip, fast pace, got the save ground, came out, split horses. How about the one-horse Queen Tiga? Jose Gomez, a 7-pound apprentice. Saw him win his first race at Belmont. And, he's making a nice impression. I like the way he rides, I like the way he finishes. He'll start to see a race more as he rides more. He's only had 15 mounts so far.
That's how you get noticed. Make the most of limited opportunities.
Yeah. Hit the board with long shots like this, and people do take notice. And look at where the value was. For $1, the exacta with a 5-2 shot, $120 over 63-1 Antigua. How about that trifecta?
For 50 cents was over $1,000.
Wow.
With a 5-2 shot on top. Pick 6 comes back $6,105, $423 for the pick 5. And there it is. Card in the books here in New York. Another huge, very impressive performance, though, from Glass Ceiling in that Garland of Roses.
Yeah, she was very good. Took a lot of kickback. There's a pick 6 carryover. Follow along.
Yeah, not bad. If you could come up with 12th man. It's amazing what sometimes the hard ones are for you.
Well, yeah,
for me, the hard one would have been Bella Principessa.
I mean, Lilu made a lot of sense off of her one, race, right? You actually pointed it out to me. Yeah. She had somewhat of a trip. I actually like 12th man a little bit, who might have been the hardest one in the sequence to start it off, because I thought he would get pace to run at, which he did.
We head back to Oaklawn, 7th race. Coming up, it kicks off the pick 4. It's a 2-turn mile. Allowance optional claiming field. And here's our post parade. Guest Suite begins it for Cipriano Contreras, coming out of a grade 3.
Yeah, coming out of the ACAC. This horse has been keeping some very good company and has 2 wins at Oaklawn Park. And the short run to the turn, going a mile, has a good inside post.
My 6th sense we'll see next for Steve Hobby, who is a multiple winner at this racetrack.
Yeah, he's been in very, very good form, and a horse that should get himself forwardly placed. Martin Garcia has gotten off to a nice start at this Oaklawn Park stand.
A lot to like next door with a horse who's currently favored. Sonneman, son of Curlin for Steve Asmussen. Ricardo Santana Jr. just missed a South Bend last start.
By Curlin, out of a mare, Zardana, who actually defeated Rachel Alexandra in a stake race at Fairgrounds. And good to see Ricardo Santana on one for Steve Asmussen.
Was just 3rd of the Breeders' Cup Sprint winner, 3 back at 7/8 of a mile. Fact-finding went by the gray for Robertino Diodoro, 2nd off the claim. And here's Beaver Hat, the 5.
Yeah, Beaver Hat does have a win at Oaklawn Park and does have races that would be quick enough, at least at Ellis Park, to put this horse in the frame.
Tom Amos sends out Spa City. He's won 2 of his last 3.
Horse in good form for a top flight horseman who wins at a high percentage.
Cash Logistics has put together back-to-back wins in Stakes Company at Indiana.
Yeah, against restricted Stakes Company, though, against Indiana breds, we talk about the size of a gene pool they have to compete at, but a horse that's in good form and has speed.
Taking money, though, right now. Well, holding right at that 5-1 morning line, but this is a good field he's dealing with here. Let's go to Gary Stevens for more here on the 7th.
Yeah, Greg Ritchie, one thing I've noticed over the previous 4 days of racing, I mentioned yesterday how kind this track is being to speed. A lot of riders really sending their horses away from the starting gate. Seemed like if you weren't involved early on in a race, especially the sprint races, it was really tough to make up ground through the stretch. What I've noticed today, and whether it was the storms or what affected it, we've got the track labeled as fast. As I mentioned before, Oaklawn doing a great job with the track, but seen a couple of races already today where some horses closed well to come from well off of the pace, winning 2 of those races. And I like that. And what that does with the riders notice it too. It's not just us sitting up here watching. They're watching every race, and tactically they're going to start being a little bit more cat and mouse chess playing out there. So I think it's an interesting matchup, even though this race is more than just about the 3 Sonneman and the 6 Spa City. What Ricardo Santana and Giovanni Franco choose to do early on, I think Spa City probably possesses a little bit more speed than Sonneman. Sonneman likes to be up close, the 3-horse. But I think that tactically we're going to see some good stuff here. Tom Amos, trainer of Spa City, spots his horses very, very well. This horse was training over at the fairgrounds. He shipped him over here. I think he's well met, but wide open race. But I think the 2 standouts in here are your 2 favorites, Sonneman and Spa City. Greg?
Gary, thanks. So there is Spa City for Tom Amos, and we're going to take a look at him in the mud. This was at Indiana last time out when he won by 3 3/4 lengths.
Yeah, and he came from just off the pace this day. Had a a little bit of a stutter step at the start before he really kind of jumped into the bit, and he finished extremely well here. You know, Gary said it, Tom Amos, a guy who not only is he a top flight horseman, he's a great manager, and you put those two things together, and that's when you get these trainers that win at high percentages, because they place their horses in races that they're going to excel in. He sets them up to succeed, not fail. And you could have a horse ready to run the race of his life. If you run him over his head, he's just going to get hot and dirty and waste an effort.
3 wins the last 4 starts for Sposetti, 2 of them coming on off tracks, but proved on a fast track at Indiana when he ran a 90 buyer and he was dominant against that group. He can handle that as well. That is a nice price on Sposetti at 9-2. Here's the 2, my 6 cents for Steve Hobby. And this is a 5-time winner. 11 times in 24 starts he has been first or second.
Honest, consistent earner of nearly $340,000. I like the fact that he's been successful at Oaklawn in the past. He's drawn towards the inside, and he has speed, but he's tactical. It seems like Martin Garcia's confidence level has really started to kind of come together as he's gotten more and more comfortable on the Midwest circuit. My 6 cents, to me, makes a lot of sense.
He's great at stakes place. He gave Plainsman all he could handle, who actually ran very good in the Cigar Mile.
He ran terrific in the Cigar Mile. He was 3rd, had some trouble, coming out of a trouble trip in the Bold Ruler where he should have been a lot closer. So, you know, Plainsman certainly is borne out that he's for real. Briefly, getting back to the last race at Aqueduct, the apprentice that was second on Queen Tiga, Jose Gomez, actually is a 10-pound apprentice. He's only won 1 race. They only claimed 7 pounds, so they might have named another 7-pound apprentice on. They can't change the weight. Once they did, maybe that horse had another call. And that was from my dear friend Angel Cordero texted me, and he's right. He's 1 for 15 or 1 for 16 now, so he is a 10-pound apprentice.
Okay. Keep our eyes and follow his career. Just getting started here in New York. Meanwhile, this 3-horse there in the background, near the top of your screen, Sonneman remains the favorite. Sharp form coming in. He's been first or second 10 of his 18 starts, and he's been tackling some tough company. But you look at his numbers, too. I mean, there's my 6 cents, even Spa City have been running some faster races of late.
Yeah. And listen, this horse is going to take the kind of money because Steve Asmussen and Ricardo Santana, I think 7 years in a row, the leading rider at Oaklawn Park. 8. Okay, so, you know, he doesn't have 100% of the Asmussen stable behind him, but it's nice to see him still with his foot in the door.
Well, this horse, earlier this year, February, in a grade 3, he was second to Maxfield, beating a very tough horse as well in that division, Chess Chief, who's not one of your top-tier level older horses, but certainly a very talented runner for Dallas Stewart. So Sonneman remains the favorite. Asmussen, Santana Jr. together again here in a competitive allowance optional claiming field. Let's go to Vic Stauffer for the 7th from Oaklawn.
They're at the post. They're off. Sonneman is hard sent early, but not as fast as Fact Finding, who goes to the front. Cash Logistics in the center races up, and it'll be these two into the clubhouse turn with Spa City a smart 3rd. Sonneman was sent out of the gate, but can do no better than 4th early. Then Beaver Hat. My 6 cents will race from off the pace today. He's second to last, and the trailer is the stretch running Guest Suite. Fact Finding to the backstretch with a 1.5 length lead over Cash Logistics in second. Sonneman is inside at the rail, and to the outside and 3 wide is Spa City. Then comes Beaver Hat. He's 5th with 2.5 lengths to make up. My 6 cents is a tugging 6th. He's got 4 to come, and the trailer is Guest Suite, 7 lengths first to last. The finish line is the 16th pole, and the gray Fact Finding is trying to get there first. Fact Finding past the half-mile marker. He leads by a 1.25 lengths from Cash Logistics, and outside of him, Spa City. Sonneman stays at the rail. He's 3.5 off the lead. Beaver Hat My 6 Cents between horses. Guest Suite has trailed throughout, and Fact Finding has led throughout. Fact Finding is the leader. Spa City now emerges, and he's clearly second. To the outside, and a Beaver had third. Sonneman stays at the rail. He's still got a chance. Top of the stretch with Fact Finding just in front. Spa City, Sonneman, if he can get through. To the outside, and Beaver Hat. Fact Finding is still there. Fact Finding 2 lengths in front of Spa City. Then to the outside end, My 6 Cents. Fact Finding, Spa City, My 6 Cents. Fact Finding all the way to win. Fact Finding beat My 6 Cents. Spa City was third. Sonneman fourth.
My 6 Cents closing with purpose, but runs out of room. It's Fact Finding. Robertino Diodoro second off the claim, and David Cohen for the win.
Made the lead quite easily here. Comes off a 6-furlong race in the slot at Keeneland, sharpened up that speed. Last time this horse shortened up to a sprint and came back to a route, same result, a victory. Sometimes these older horses, 7-year-old, soon to be 8-year-old, Fact Finding, just need a little reminder where his speed was. And, you know, sprinting sometimes just kind of puts a little bit more speed into him. This horse got very comfortable. How about the run from the 2? My 6 Cents finished very, very well from pretty far back.
That was huge, and that was second off a layoff as well. We'll see if next time third is the charm off the bench for that 5-year-old son of Street Sense. That was impressive. But Fact Finding, 9th win of his career in 24 starts. We're going to take a timeout. We're going to talk 2-year-old division when we come back. Mo Donegal, Remsen winner for Todd Pletcher. Impressive, as was the son of Run Happy, taking that Kentucky Jockey Club for Kenny McPeak. Smile Happy. We'll talk about them both when we come back.
The breeding industry is governed by one principle: performance determines success.
And Constitution has won!
Now, he's earning his stripes by siring stars.
Independence Hall wins the Hagyard Bayette.
American Revolution charging up on the outside. Fireworks in the stretch here in the Cigar Mile. American Revolution has won.
Constitution, a natural-born leader.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Smile Happy was a TDN rising star following his maiden win at Keeneland. From there, he captured the Grade 2 Kentucky Jockey Club Stakes to remain undefeated and earning points toward the Kentucky Derby. In Future Pool 1, Smile Happy was individual leader by lowest odds. Among the top of his crop by stakes winners and earnings, Run Happy continues his rise and is priced for success. Call today and book your mare to Red Hot Sire Run Happy, standing in legendary Stall 1 at Claiborne Farm.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
Back on America's Day at the races, and a look at one of the best views in racing there. Those hotel rooms right on the racetrack in Hot Springs. Got to stay there one day. Fact Finding. Impressive here in victory, holding off an equally impressive My 6 Cents, who's making up a ton of ground late this too.
Fact Finding broke running, sharpened up in a sprint last time, got to set very controlled, moderate fractions on the lead, and just kept finding the 7-year-old son of the Factor. Gets his 9th career victory from 24 starts, and a real nice close by My 6 Cents under Martin Garcia.
This horse was 6-1 morning line, and goes off at 15-1.
You get Robertino Diodoro, Flying Peace Stable, James Sherman.
The recent form was not there at all, so I understand.
Listen, it's easy to say in hindsight, but the last time this horse did the same move, sprinted, and came back stretching out, resulted in a victory.
8th race, it is a 2-turn mile, $40,000 maiden claiming event. And as the board reflects, it's wide open in here. It's a 7 right now. My favorite uncle, Steve Asmussen, off the claim. Beaten favorite last start for a different barn. The one to beat right now. We'll have more on this field coming up in just a minute. As promised, we're going to talk 2-year-old picture. Never too early to start talking Kentucky Derby for 2022. And we're going to start it off with Mo Donegal, who looked very good winning the Remsen here at Aqueduct. And many felt there should have been a change in here, as did Chad Brown, as did the owners of Zandon, who have now filed a lawsuit.
Yeah, they're appealing the non-disqualification, if you will. And you see Zandon in between horses making his second start, going from 6 furlongs to 1 1/8 miles. And here comes Mo Donegal, who'd already won going long, comes up with a full head of steam. And what's impressive is Zandon jumps in, doesn't just, cave in. He fights back. And that's when Irad Ortiz is going to take a quick peek. He's going to come over on top of Zandon. He's going to throw some holds, put his elbows kind of into Johnny Velasquez and Zandon a little bit, and ultimately hung on. But this is what I'm talking about. You see, look how far away they are from each other.
Green cap to the outside.
Green cap, Zandon in the blue. Now, it looks like Mo Donegal's going to go right on by. Now he starts to come in. Watch, quick glance to the left, right there. Now he's going to come in under a right-handed crop.
So it's purposeful.
Oh, absolutely. He wanted to come down to try to. Now, this is the part. When you start breaking your reins like that and I think overriding it, overdoing it, putting your elbow, your arm, your rein into that horse's line of sight, into the other rider, and then they made contact.
Yeah.
And you're talking about an inch or two difference at the finish. Now, again, quick peek to the left right there. Now, all right, let me come down to you. Let me come down to you. Now, right there, you should stop. But this is the part where, to me, goes over the line. And if you're the inside rider, you're just fighting to save position. You don't want to get put into the fence. You don't want that horse coming over any more on you. And to me, everything was fine. Coming down to him, race riding is the art of intimidation without going over the boundaries of the rules.
And that left arm from Irad Ortiz Jr., that was beyond intimidation. That was borderline harassment, wasn't it?
To me, that went over the line of what is considered race riding. Race riding is going to the edge, putting horses in as comfortable position as you can within the boundaries of the rules. When you take your arm and purposely start doing this into another horse, another rider, that goes over the boundaries of the rules, in my estimation, or the way I understand the rules.
But if you're not going to be disciplined for it, you're going to keep doing it, aren't you?
A jockey's life is, if you give me an inch, I'm going to take 3 inches. If you give me a foot, I'm going to try to take a yard. You give me a yard, you're never going to stop. You're always going to try to take a little bit more than what's allowable. Rules have to be enforced consistently, fairly, but strictly. And then, guys, these are the best riders in the world. They can ride to the line without going over it, but they have to have a clear definition of where that line is.
Yeah, and a rider, by the way, who is facing a 30-day suspension for another incident happened earlier on in the week.
Well, I mean that one where an apprentice, Omar Hernandez Moreno, was unseated in the incident. I know Irad felt terrible about it. He had a lot of remorse. I think he just overdid it again. But again, not knowing exactly where the line is and how far you can go creates a more dangerous situation.
Well, both those two, Mo Donegal, Zandon, they look like they are equally strong prospects going into 2022 for the Derby Trail. We saw another horse, too, look quite impressive for the Kenny McPeak barn. Smile Happy, son of Run Happy, won first time out going 1 16 miles. That is not easy to do. He looked even better in his graded stakes debut, beating this field.
I think this is impressive. You know, just like you're impressed with what Zandon did, breaking his maiden, go right to Stakes Company, you got to be impressed with this horse going from breaking his maiden, going 2 turns, very tall order, to coming back and winning a stake at Churchill Downs. That's always going to give you a little bit more excitement too, because you know he handles the race course, and he handled it with a lot of class. This horse has got, to me, he acts like an older horse. For the lack of experience, for the lack of seasoning, he certainly runs like a seasoned racehorse. And this is one of the things I've noticed about the Run Happy offspring. He passes on the speed, but he passes along a body type that says they're going to go further. These horses are capable of getting more ground. All good horses possess speed. It's how they learn to use it. This is a very exciting prospect.
That was the second start of his career, first time facing winners in a Grade 2. And Corey Lannery said he was just so impressed that, as to what you said. He just feels like a much more veteran, experienced horse and handles himself that way.
Well, your best horses not only have the physical prowess, but they also have the mentality. They have a mind that allows them to do things efficiently, and they're smart. They look at things, they take it in, they're able to process things a little bit better than the average horse processes it.
Well, the horse who would have been favorite in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile now getting a little more company with some talent who he's expected to face when he does return. That, of course, is Jack Christopher, who was so impressive in the Champagne. Gary, your thoughts on Jack Christopher?
Well, you guys, when we saw him break his maiden up in Saratoga, we knew that he was something very special, and then he was able to stretch his speed out to 1 mile in the Champagne, the Grade 1 Champagne, and he showed signs of brilliance. He didn't go directly to the lead. He showed that he was tractable, rateable, meaning that he could sit off of the pace, and he just gets into that beautiful rhythm. And like Richie said, they've got to have the mind to go with it, and he has the mind. And I was disappointed when he had to be scratched. I think everybody who had been following his 2 races was disappointed that we didn't get to see another effort like he'd put in the Champagne and step forward. He was scratched out of that race because of shins. It's something that babies get, and they just grow through, but they do need time, and he's getting that time right now. The question's going to be, when is he going to get back into training with Chad Brown in South Florida? Look, he's already had the 2 races experience. That's huge. We've seen horses be able to, in the last couple of years, not have their first start until their 3-year-old season and go on and win classic races, as Justify, American Pharoah, and also Arrogate did. And I think that it's possible, if he gets back in time to get into his normal routine, get some works under his belt, and have some prep races figured out prior to the road to the Kentucky Derby, guys.
Gary, thanks. Obviously didn't get to compete in that Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Corniche won that race. He's not going to be the champion, but I think for most people, he's your leader in the clubhouse, turning the page to 2022 for next year's Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, but like Gary said, timing's the factor. You know, he's recovering right now. He's convalescing at WinStar. I'm sure they'll have him in training there, but then getting to the racetrack and, you know, to make the Kentucky Derby and make the Kentucky Derby in a position to win it, and Chad Brown's not bringing him there unless he thinks he can win it. Everything has to go right, and so he's already kind of under the gun a little bit from a time frame standpoint. Is he going to be able to get enough miles in training? Is he going to get enough prep races in? Plus, he still has to gather more points, even though, you know, again, it could be just the clock could run out on him.
Yeah. We'll wait and follow that story when we get into 2022. But he's been fun to watch in his first 2 starts of his career. Here's the upcoming road to the Derby. Springboard Mile coming up on the 17th. Gunrunner, and then the Smarty Jones kicking thing off on New Year's Day. A busy day, Jerome and Sham as well, with 10 points each to the winner in all of those races to get into the starting gate.
The landscape has changed so much as far as preps for the Kentucky Derby. Horses don't prep as often. The preps are spread out more. In New York years ago, it started with the 6-furlong Swift. 2 weeks later, it went to the 7-furlong Bayshore. Then the 1 mile Gotham to the 1 1/8 Wood Memorial, and they were all 2 weeks apart, with the Kentucky Derby coming 2 weeks after the Wood Memorial. You don't see that anymore.
And keep in mind, too, I mean, we've seen Derby winners that sometimes not even don't race as 2-year-olds. We had a Triple Crown winner who didn't debut until mid to late February.
Very unusual circumstance there, no doubt.
It can happen.
But that's the thing. When we talk about 3-year-old racehorses, we're talking about basically adolescents. We're talking about kids in high school. And the best athlete starting high school is not always the best athlete coming out of high school. They develop a lot in this short period of time. Between now and the first Saturday in May, you could see a couple of different leaders in the clubhouse.
Going to be fun to watch as we're just a few days away from turning the page to next year and kicking off the 3-year-old season for all these horses. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to bring you a lot of those prep races as well on the road to the Kentucky Derby. Up next in Hot Springs, this $40,000 maiden claiming race. And it's still the Steve Asmussen runner, son of Uncle Mo, off the claim here, who is favored at 7-2. Sakil taking money next door, who is taking a sizable drop down in class. First time in for a tag in his career. We'll be back with this 8th from Oaklawn right after this.
Spun to run. In the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, he defeated a loaded field that included multiple Grade 1 winners Omaha Beach and Improbable. His brilliant speed figures were among the fastest of any 3-year-old at a mile or more. And he hails from the legendary Danzig sire line. Multiple graded stakes winner, millionaire, Breeders' Cup champion, Spun to run, standing at Gainesway.
We're back on America's Day at the Races. Good to have you with us. Greg Wolf, Richard Migliori, Jonathan Kinchin, Gary Stevens with you as we get set for this 8th at Oaklawn coming up. A maiden claiming event, 2-turn mile. We'll see what happens in this race coming up. You have Sakil taking a big drop down in class. Holiday Tickets facing a little bit easier. Even Captain Fantastic on the outside ran competitive races in 2 of his last 3 starts.
He's had a lot of tries, though, hasn't he, though? 14 tries, still a maiden. I always tend to shy away from horses like that, and sometimes it jumps up and bites me.
This race just has the feel of a little bit that, and it's kind of, I guess, when in doubt in a race like this that's so wide open, go with the winningest trainer in North American history, and that's what the public's doing here with Steve Asmussen's 7, My Favorite Uncle.
Now, the horse that's had a lot of tries, though, 10 starts, but he's making his first start in the Steve Asmussen barn off the claim.
We have a horse, too, who, in the 2, Namesake, started with Bob Baffert, now with Ron Moquette, who's only been in maiden special company, and is now going to stretch out for the first time as well.
Yeah, stretching out and dropping in class, and Ron Moquette, he knows his way around Oaklawn. Heck, he practically lives on the grounds.
Basically does, yeah,
right?
on the back stretch, and that's where he watches his horses work from. Not a bad scene for him. You got the 3 who's stretching out and getting on dirt for the first time. It's a tough race to try and separate. Post braid here coming up in a moment. And we're going to kick things off with a 1 in a moment. Roulette, who's going to put blinkers on. New barn, claimed off of Ron Moquette, actually. But a horse who dropped to this level did run a decent second in the slop sprinting and now going to try longer.
Yeah, Roulette adds the blinkers for the stretch out, too, so he'll give it a spin.
You look at that Laurel race, the only time he went a mile, and he actually ran okay in that race.
He did, and that was for maiden allowance. Now he's, he ran for 30 in the slop, ran well sprinting, the stretch out and the inside post with blinkers on.
So here's the one we were talking about for Ron Moquette. That horse on your screen used to be with him. Namesake, who started out west, then went to Keeneland, first time in for a tag.
I think the drop in class and stretching out certainly makes this horse a major player here at a good price, 8-1.
It's only been turf so far in 2 starts for Brody Boucher.
Yeah, he's going to have to show that he can compete with what he's facing here on the dirt at Oaklawn.
River Redemption, his first dirt start came in straight maiden company against Caddo River, who was a major player on the Triple Crown Trail for Brad Cox.
Ran okay last time for 50, dropped slightly for trainer Nick Zito wintering at Oaklawn Park.
8-1 on Salado, has been up since March of 2020.
Salado, community in Arkansas, so I'm sure he's named for that, or could be for Salty.
Horse showed ability against straight maiden company in his debut at Fairgrounds, too. My favorite uncle, the 7. Here's the favorite for Steve Asmussen off the claim.
Yeah, makes a first start for Steve Asmussen, winning his trainer in North American history, but it's had a lot of tries.
As has this one here, Sakil. This is start number 9 for him. First time in for a maiden claiming tag.
Yeah, dropping in class, has races that make him a contender, that's for sure.
Holiday Ticket, at least lightly raced, and now gets more ground than he's ever had.
Yeah, buy a Golden Ticket horse that dead heated in the Travers for trainer Kenny McPeak, searching this horse out.
And Captain Fantastic to the outside in a new barn. 0 for 14 as mentioned.
Yeah, 0 for 14 at a tough post going a mile at Oaklawn Park.
So 3 minutes to post coming up. Let's go back to Gary Stevens.
Yeah, guys, now this mile race here at Oaklawn Park, they race to what's called the first finish line when they're going a mile. And the first finish line is actually the 16th pole. So when you start at the mile pole, which is right behind us pretty much, that green and white pole with the green light on, that is the finish line. So how does it impact how the race is ridden? It's not rocket science here. I mean, you're basically you're finishing a 16th of a mile before you normally would. So you're going to make your move about a 16th of a mile before you normally would, because the stretch is short. And if you've got a horse that is strictly a stretch runner, you'll want to start winding them up going into the fire turn, maybe at the half-mile pole or a little bit before that. If they're not good turn runners, you're going to want to get them wound up into a rhythm prior to going into that far turn. If you're on the lead, you can steal away, taking advantage. If they've let you go along easily the first part of the race, going into that turn, you're going to press the go button, try and open up as much as you can. Horses bunch up because everybody's trying to move at the same time. So if you're on the front end, coming into the stretch, definite advantage. Not saying you can't come from off of it, because we saw it in the race prior in the 7th race. They did come from off the pace to come up, and some horses came late and finished up very well. But tactically, you just got to move a little bit earlier than you normally would, Greg.
Hey, Gary, this Mig here. Sometimes it feels like to me, though, some riders start, especially coming from up, they start gearing up almost a little too early, and they really take the race on around the turn. Do you ever run the risk or see that happening there from time to time?
Absolutely, and if you're on a horse that comes from behind, Richie, you'll see that start to develop, and you'll start licking your chops and know that you can wait a little bit further, especially if you have a horse that has a good turn of foot, it's got a short run. That will come into play as well. A lot of these horses will start getting late going to the second finish line here. At times it felt when I was riding here that going to the regular finish line, you were running uphill, and it got awfully long. Those were horses that I'd ask them to drop them back to a mile distance, because I knew they had that short run, and it was going to be a big tactical advantage for them to be able to wait and then just sizzle for 2/16 or 1/8 of a mile from that quarter pole to the finish line.
Well, something to consider in this Oaklawn racing that we're bringing you throughout the meet.
I find it intriguing, the 2 wires, the tactics involved, constantly have to think about it. I always wish that they would use a second wire at Belmont Park. You know, that we break the mile and a quarter on the turn. And you know, if you have an outside draw, it could be a disadvantage. Break at the mile and 1/8 pole, put another wire 1/8 of a mile down, and because you're still on straightaway there. You know, there's almost 3/16 of a mile from the wire to the first turn at Belmont, and then you'd have a true 1-turn mile and a quarter. I think it would be brilliant.
We'll see how they keep an eye on it here, because it's going to be that short stretch in this one coming up. Pace-wise in this race, certainly think the 6, certainly coming off a lengthy layoff. Horse who showed speed against straight maiden company sprinting, is probably going to be very forward here, especially off the long time off.
feel like this horse will be on the lead, right? I mean, he showed good speed sprinting on dirt. Then he showed good speed sprinting on turf. Now he's stretching out. Earlier in the day, there was a horse there under Florent Drew. I thought his turf form was much better, but he ran extremely well on the dirt there. So I think he's definitely a major pace player, as is the one Roulette, I think, stretching back out.
And Roulette 6-1 on the board, 8-1 on Salado, who could be leading the way in here. You got some speed with the 9 Holiday Ticket as well for Kenny McPeak. We have a new audience joining us here as we get set for the 8th from Oaklawn. Walk with us, joining us from that drama you just witnessed in Morocco and Algeria in the FIFA Arab Cup from Qatar. Good to have you with us here on FS2. Greg Wolf, Richard Migliori, Jonathan Kitchen, Gary Stevens with you with live coverage from Hot Springs, Arkansas, and the Oaklawn meet coming up. They're featured later today. That's the Poinsettia. And Arkansas Derby winner, Superstock, returning to Hot Springs for the first time since that win.
His biggest victory at Oaklawn Park, Arkansas Derby. Going to be interesting, and this is his last opportunity to race strictly against 3-year-old company.
Well, right now it's the 8th. 2-turn mile coming up at this $40,000 maiden claiming event. Then it's the Poinsettia next. In this race here, and it's Steve Asmussen, of course, with Superstock, but Asmussen also with the favorite in here, the 7, My Favorite Uncle, who we just claimed last start.
Yeah, a horse that's certainly run well enough, and claimed back-to-back. He's claimed off Wayne Lucas by Keith DeSormo, so he went from a Hall of Famer to a world-class horseman in Keith DeSormo, and now into another Hall of Fame horseman's barn, Steve Asmussen, but he still is 0 for 10.
Wide open race. Yeah, a lot of opportunities to try and win, but first time trying to do it in that barn, winningest trainer in North American history. Let's go to Vic Stauffer for the call. Here's race 8 from Oaklawn.
They're at the post. They're off. Holiday Ticket is as for speed, so is Brody Boucher and Namesake. Roulette's taken back at the rail. Then comes a Salado. From the outside, Captain Fantastic, Sakil. River Redemption is on heels and in tight, and the early trailer is My Favorite Uncle. To the backstretch they run, and the leader is Namesake, and he's a length and a half in front of Brody Boucher in second. Then to the outside and Holiday Ticket. Roulette at the rail has been an absolute handful. He's trying to get out very badly. No good outside of him for either Salado, or further out goes Captain Fantastic. Then it's 3.5 back to River Redemption and Sakil, and My Favorite Uncle is last. He's 9 lengths behind. The finish line is the 16th pole, and now there's a charge on for the lead. It is still Namesake, but he has company up front in Brody Boucher, Holiday Ticket, and a 4-wide Captain Fantastic. These 4 right across the track. Salado is just in behind them and 2 from the front. 3.5 back now to Sakil and River Redemption. That's all for Roulette. He's passed by My Favorite Uncle. They round the far turn, and Namesake is still there. Namesake, 3/4 of a length again. Captain Fantastic outside of Holiday Ticket. These 3, Salado with every chance, just in behind them. 4 lengths to Brody Boucher and Sakil, top of the stretch. Namesake still a length and a half in front. To the outside, Captain Fantastic, Holiday Ticket at the rail, Salado, but Namesake is now opening up. And Namesake is 3 in front of Captain Fantastic and Holiday Ticket. It's Namesake in front. Namesake won by 4. Captain Fantastic second. Holiday Ticket was third. Close for fourth between Salado and Sakil.
Namesake the win out in front, and these Silks, Gary and Mary West, they were actually expected to win that Arkansas Derby with Concert Tour when Superstock upset the field.
Well, you could see the first quarter of a mile. Namesake got so comfortable on the lead. His ears were up. He was off the bridle, relaxed. He was going to be a handful to beat. And when he was set down for the drive by Ricardo Santana Jr. for Ron Marquette, he kicked away again. Nice effort from him. None of the other speed really showed up. I mean, he got an easy pass on the lead. 7-horse, My Favorite Uncle, basically eliminated at the break. Got sawed off, kind of jammed back and shuffled out of it.
And tough time in the stretch as well for him.
Yeah, a horse to keep an eye on going forward. He just was completely eliminated early. Captain Fantastic, check getter, got another second from a tough post.
Ricardo Santana Jr., Ron Marquette, Gary Mary West, and Ascena Bernardini with the win here in the 8th at Oaklawn. Let's show you what we have coming up on the program. Our feature, it is next, Poinsettia for 3-year-olds. Mile and a 16th, purse of $150,000, and the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby winner, Superstock, returning to Oaklawn for the first time since that victory. That is ahead here on the program. You can play it all, of course, by getting signed up and started with Naira Bets. Go to nairabets.com, download the app, and take advantage of that $200 deposit match sign-up bonus with the code for new members. There it is, bonus 200, and bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Again, nairabets.com or download that Naira Bets app. We're going to take a timeout. When we return, we'll show you what happened earlier today in the feature back at Aqueduct in South Ozone Park. Glass ceiling, ultra impressive. She is in the form of her career for Charlie Baker. Stay with us. We'll be back with America's Day at the Races right after this.
This proven son of A.P. Indy has sired over 50 stakes winners and well over 100 stakes horses. Recent top performers include Search Results, winner of the Grade 1 Acorn Stakes and a hard-fought second in the Kentucky Oaks, plus these standout performers. In the auction ring, his progeny continued to command top dollar. 2-year-olds by Flatter sold up to $625,000. Flatter, standing at Claiborne Farm.
How do you become the gold standard in racing partnerships? One horse, one partner, one victory at a time. Congratulations to all our partners who have made West Point the gold standard for the last 3 decades.
Maximum Security proves he's the real deal with a gate-to-wire win in the Florida Derby.
Champion 3-year-old.
Maximum Security has won the TVG.com Haskell Invitational.
11 triple-digit buyers.
Maximum Security, he smoked them in the Cigar Mile.
Grade 1 winning 4-year-old.
Maximum Security takes them all the way in the TVG Pacific Classic.
Secure your mare's future. Maximum Security.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
We're back on America's Day at the Races on FS2. Good to have you with us. Greg Wolf, Richard Migliori. And we're getting set for the feature coming up at Oaklawn. We had the feature earlier today in New York, too, which we're going to show you in a moment. Meanwhile, back to this win in race 8, Namesake. Don't write off Ricardo Santana Jr. just yet, even though he's not been the sole main man for Steve Asmussen.
But he still has support. He's a good rider. You just got to keep on doing what he's doing, stay the course, show up every day, work hard. That's the remedy for any time things aren't going quite your way.
And I meant by that, he's won 8 straight riding titles here, obviously. Everyone knows how good he is, but some speculation that that streak might come to an end this year. We'll see.
Well, it's not going to be easy for him because he doesn't have the 100% support of Hall of Famer Steve Asmussen, but he is riding for Steve, so it's good. He's still in the barn. He's not out completely, and just take some wins. Success breeds success, and when you win in this game, it has a way of smoothing over the rough spots.
Let's head back to earlier today. Feature race at Aqueduct. It was the Garland of Roses, fillies and mares sprinting 6 furlongs. And there was a fill-in here. We expected to get loose on the lead. She did. Sadie Lady, she's been not anywhere near as good on off tracks as she has on fast tracks, and that maybe hurt her chances. But glass ceiling, Dylan Davis overcame quite a bit in here with this win.
Yeah, she didn't break very sharply. She didn't break slow, but not really sharply. Didn't handle the kickback well. You can see Dylan made a decision. I got to get her out in the clear. She's not running through this mud thrown in her face. She gets over to her right lead right in there. And once she got to her right lead, she kind of dropped her head, lowered her head. She really finished. She's in terrific form. And you can see how much kickback she took. She's covered in mud. Horses have kind of a third eyelid, acts like a windshield wiper, protects the cornea of the eye and helps them see. So, you know, even though you see a horse get a lot of kickback like that, that's why they don't, you know, incur as many eye injuries, things like that, because they have a natural protector there. But you could see how covered she was, and she just was not having it. Dylan made a decision. It was the right one. Swing her to the clear and let her finish.
A lot of people expected this win. She went off as the 8-5 favorite because of who she had faced last time out. We talked about it a lot on the program. For those who joined us later, just missed against Lady Rocket, who came out of that race and dominated in the Grade 3 Go for One with a higher figure and time than American Revolution earned in the Grade 1 Cigar Mile. This even flatters that form even more.
Yeah, I think they've been flattering each other. They, you know, were ahead apart. Lady Rocket comes back with that huge performance in the Go for One, and now Glass Ceiling comes back and maybe a new top for her. And the fact too today, like, she didn't work out a perfect trip, which she did. I think her last 2 starts had absolutely perfect trips. She actually had to overcome adversity today and still won. In good form.
Horse was claimed too by Charlie Baker. Give Charlie Baker a lot of credit. Kind of flies under the radar, certainly on a national level. He's not one of the big names out there, but a tremendous trainer who certainly, if you follow this circuit, you know that name.
Now, over the years, we've seen this so many top-class horsemen come out of Finger Lakes because they're not racing up there for glory and headlines and huge purses. They're putting food on the table, and they really learn to maximize a horse's ability, get the most out of their offspring. We've seen it for years, going from back Stanley Huff and Jimmy Bond and the Engleharts and, you know, Dave Dock. So many top horsemen have come out of Finger Lakes over the years.
We're going to take a timeout. And not for nothing, a lot of wise guys used to go to Hot Springs back in the day. Gangster Museum, if you have not done it, it is worth the trip. We'll have the story of what once was the Mafia Mecca in Hot Springs right after this.
This is the horse.
He is just too good.
This is the horse who became only the second champion 2-year-old to win the Travers in 3 decades. This is the horse who is the only Breeders' Cup juvenile hero ever to lift the Belmont Stakes. History-making brilliance. That's his essential quality. Essential quality. This is the horse. Just imagine.
I think at a yearling, you're looking for pretty much an athlete. All horses come in different shapes and sizes. You know, some are tall, some are small, but really you're looking for balance and athleticism in the horse, one that moves well and knows how to use its body. So day-to-day starts in the morning. All the yearlings are out in the field at night, so we keep them out for a majority of the day. We'll come in the morning, get all the stalls ready, and we'll bring them up right about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. And they'll stay in the stall for about 5 hours. They'll get a meal first thing when they come in. If they have any blacksmith or vet work that needs to get done, it'll get done at that time. The horses get groomed and bathed at that time, and importantly, they get to rest because they're out in the field fighting and getting that competitive edge.
Two yearlings we're really excited about.
That's the Quality Road out of Lowell. He is a first foal out of Lowell who is a great racehorse for the farm, and he has been great since day one. He's a big, strong, athletic horse. Hasn't done a thing wrong since he's been over here. Moves well, got a great mind to him. Really has all the qualities that you're looking for. So he's a Warfront out of a mare named Queen Nefertiti. He's a really nice horse, real well balanced, got a good mind to him, very easy moving, and has everything that you're looking for in a horse at this age. My first group are now 4-year-olds. Art Collector was raised out here. He was the big one. And then the filly that won the Santa Anita Oaks, Soothsay, she was raised out here as well. She's a 3-year-old. A horse named Dynamic One that ran second in the Wood Memorial. He was raised out here. We've had a few other stakes winners as well on top of that, but those would be the main 3 so far. I've worked in every aspect of the farm, but the yearlings I kind of figured out was what I wanted to do. And out here, everybody has their own ways, and the way they do it is still pretty simplistic to keeping it pretty ordinary. Outside as much as they can, let the horses be horses.
Our program, of course, brought to you each and every day in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. We're going to get back to Oaklawn for their feature coming up in just a little bit. Many don't know, though, in Hot Springs, very rich history. Before Vegas actually became Vegas, Hot Springs was a gambling and mafia mecca in the early 30s. The fact that it was illegal in the area did very little to slow down the influx of the mafia and their thirst for action.
During Leo McLaughlin's 22-year run as mayor of Hot Springs, starting in 1926, the city became a haven for notorious criminals and gangsters, most notably Al Capone.
A lot of people aren't aware of the fact that in 1931, Las Vegas, Nevada had 5,000 people in it and no high-rise hotels. Everyone was there to build the Boulder Dam, which became the Hoover Dam. At the same time, in 1931, Hot Springs had 20,500 people in it, 22 high-rise hotels, and $100 million in gambling income. The only difference was here in Arkansas, it was illegal, but it was okay.
During the spring, tourists could find themselves rubbing elbows with gangsters and Major League Baseball players.
Everyone year-round could enjoy the hot mineral baths, hunting and fishing and gambling. But in the spring, it was the opening of the live thoroughbred race meet at Oaklawn Park. And man, was it a happening place.
Well, and all these wise guys, they assembled here, and there was really a truce, a ceasefire that you went there, you had the vacation, and one of those tales was that Al Capone's arch enemy, Bugs Moran, he actually stayed in a hotel across the street. Nothing ever happened because of the truce.
Yeah, no, there it was like a safe zone. They could go out golfing, see each other on the golf course and in the casinos, and everybody was cool there. And when they went back to their jurisdictions, if you will, then it was peace and love was over.
Yeah, indeed. Rich history out there, and a must visit to that gangster museum. You actually took that tour, right?
I took the tour. It was really cool, and they had these passageways and tunnels where people, if there was a raid, they could escape from the casinos, and obviously Prohibition, where they'd run the liquor in and out of these caves and stuff. It was a pretty neat tour. If you're in Hot Springs, I recommend it.
We have a feature coming up next from Oklahoma's Poinsettia for 3-year-olds traveling a mile on the 16th. And Arkansas Derby winner Super Stock back at Oaklawn for the first time since that win when he surprised at 12-1. 9-5 on the board for Steve Asmussen's son, dialed in. We'll have this for you when we come back post-parade next. He's got some tough company he's got to deal with in the feature next. Stay with us.
A Grade 1 winner of nearly $2 million, Silver State hails from the sire line of legendary Claiborne stallion Danzig. And his second dam is full sister to Kentucky Derby winner Monarchos. After winning the Oaklawn Handicap, Silver State defeated Knicks Go in the Grade 1 Metropolitan Handicap. On the board in 12 of 14 starts from ages 2 to 4, his career included a 6-race winning streak. Grade 1 winner Silver State, standing at Claiborne Farm.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
And on the morning of the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need to create the noblest of all creatures. So God made a racehorse. He needed a horse that is faster, smarter, sleeker, and sounder, so God made a racehorse. He created an animal sound of wind with oversized nostrils to breathe fire like a dragon and turn oxygen into rocket fuel. He gave it a kind eye so his caretaker could look into his soul. And then on the afternoon of the 8th day, God realized that he needed an animal that was even swifter, smarter, and sounder.
An animal that can compete on the world stage and win iconic races like at Royal Ascot.
So God created a legend. The legend lives on.
Adelphi.
But Superstock is a fresh challenger in the center of the racetrack. And here comes Superstock outside of Concert Tour. Superstock has taken over the lead. Concert Tour has been defeated. Superstock, Ricardo Santana win the Arkansas Derby.
Oh, what a win that was for Steve Asmussen, because it was really all in the family with this 3-year-old son dialed in.
Yeah, I mean, just an incredible story. Dad, Keith Asmussen, the partner, Irv Woolsey. The fact that Steve's son, Keith, named for his grandfather, won a stake on this horse, the Texas Futurity, as a 2-year-old. It just a lot of things coming together in the Asmussen family. Just such good horse people. Every single one. From Cash, brother, revolutionized the way riders rode in Europe. Mom, Marilyn, was a trainer. Steve winning his trainer, the dad, incredible. I mean, just a really fantastic story.
That was a great moment. He was nearly 34-1 in the Kentucky Derby. Was non-impactful in that race, but he's come back late now in his 3-year-old campaign to look very impressive in stakes company, winning 2 of his last 3. His only defeat in that 3-race run was a grade 3 when he completely hopped out of the gate and lunged when he out of the break in that race. He still hit the board behind Flash of Mischief.
There's a $70,000 yearling purchase that's earned over $1,150,000 and is looking to add to his bank account right here.
He is the 9-5 favorite. As we take a look at Last Samurai, and who's going to line up here against him? Dallas Stewart, son of Malibu Moon.
Horse turning back in distance has shown that he's that stamina is his strong point. Gets an inside draw, and a horse that's in good form.
Defeater for Tom Amoss. He struggled in that Oklahoma Derby against Flash of Mischief at Superstock, but he came back and looked really good at a mile.
Man, he looked really good at a mile. Is he going to be as effective around 2 turns?
Flash of Mischief, likely the one who's going to be leading the way.
Yeah, and he outfinished Superstock, albeit he did have trouble. You brought up the start that time, but Flash of Mischief's in good form as well.
9-5 favorite, and here's the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby winner, Superstock.
Coming back to the site of his greatest victory to date, the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby, looking to close out his 3-year-old campaign in style.
See if Myopic next door can try and keep company with Flash of Mischief early on.
Myopic, I'm Myopic, so I got a rooting interest here, but Myopic is going to have to step up his game a little bit here.
David Cohen, Robertino Diodoro team up there. Simovic, son of Street Sense, who is coming in off a win at Churchill on a first-level allowance victory.
Yeah, he's coming in off a win, but is also going to have to improve to compete here.
And to the outside, Ram for Dwayne Lucas. Seems like this horse has been around for a while. He's danced a lot of dances. Just was third at Churchill last time out against the talented Cody's Wish for Belmont. That was going a mile.
Well, he broke his maiden at Oaklawn Park, but that was maiden 50, and it seems like more recently he's been more effective as kind of a closing sprinter. Is that going to kind of translate to this mile and a 16th here?
Well, with more on the Arkansas Derby winner, back in Hot Springs, let's go to Gary Stevens.
Yeah, guys, Superstock, he schooled in the paddock yesterday, and apparently he was a handful in there, being very aggressive and just a handful. He was the last one over here to the paddock area, and he was walking with a lot of focus and a lot of purpose. He just had like tunnel vision as he walked into the entrance of the paddock area. Steve Asmussen, he saddled him on the walk, and he did the leading while the attendants put the saddle on. Pretty interesting, and he was paying attention to every move that Steve did. They walked him in to his box before Luis Contreras boarded him. But I loved what I was seeing out here. He wasn't overdoing it, but just very, very focused. Back to the scene of his biggest victory in the Arkansas Derby. But listen, this race to me is wide open on paper, and the tote board is saying that with the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4 all getting action. Longest shots on the board are 13-1. I think that the one-horse Last Samurai, he's been sort of a route specialist. He did drop back in distance last time out. I think he would enjoy a fast pace up in front of him. Defeater, Ricardo Santana climbing on him for the first time for Tom Amos. We saw what happened yesterday when Nashville ran, and Ricardo Santana's normal rider was able to beat the old horse that he's used to riding. Flash of Mischief, again, going to be a forward factor from the beginning. But Superstock, he likes to attend or be just off at the pace. I think he would enjoy a decent pace, a good galloping pace early on. But it's going to be an interesting race to watch, guys.
Gary, thanks. And yet Gary brought up that feature from yesterday, Ricardo Santana Jr. on Hollis, beating Steve Asmussen runner, who he used to be the pilot for a Nashville. Hollis actually set a new track record in that victory. Here's Santana going to try and beat an Asmussen horse who used to be his mount again with defeater for Tom Amos.
You know, and in one respect, it's almost a good thing for Ricardo, because I think it's easy for people to fall back on, well, he rides for Steve Asmussen, of course he's going to win. Him showing, and he always could do it. He always had the capability. He was doing it. But now on a different level, winning for other people, people see it wasn't just the association with Steve Asmussen that made Ricardo Santana successful. Obviously, it helps. You ride for a guy that wins, over 400 races a year pretty much every year. You're going to win a vast majority of your races for him. But now the fact that he's not just Steve's go-to rider, it'll open it up for other people to say, well, maybe I can get Ricardo, not thinking, well, he'll be tied up with Steve.
Well, the horse he's going to be aboard, by the way, as we continue to look at Superstock, the 4, Ricardo will be on defeater. I thought one of his most impressive races was that comeback race at Saratoga this summer when Speaker's Corner beat him. He was dead last out of the gate in that race and still wound up, it was a distant second, but he had a wide trip that day, and Mahamel was pretty highly regarded at that point. For him to get runner-up money in that race, he ran impressive. That was one of the biggest figure, actually the biggest figure he's ever run.
Yeah, and he overcame adversity. He didn't get off particularly well. He had to take a lot of kickback, and he finished. He showed quality. A lot of horses have ability. It's your better horses show quality because they have to fight for it. It's not given to them. And he showed that day that he has the ability to fight for it. His last race was terrific. I mean, he roared down the center of the track at Churchill Downs. Horse that's going forward maybe at the right time.
It's been a habit for him, though. The horse we're looking at this, too, getting out of the gate. It's been problematic. Can he break clean today? Let's go to Jonathan for more on Defeater.
Yeah, it's always a concern, Wolfie, when these horses tend to not break well. It becomes a habit, and they don't break well always. But the good news is when you have a trainer like Tom Amoss, there's a lot of different things that you can do to help a horse break a little bit better. You can take them to the gate. As they get a little bit older, that doesn't necessarily work as much. The other thing you can do is just kind of strengthen them from behind. Do different types of workouts and different types of training that can give them a more powerful hind end that will then help them break away from there and sometimes try to resolve those problems. I'm hoping that's the case with Defeater. He's shown some ability, obviously, in a lot of his races. He did run into Speaker's Corner and got beat that day. Nothing wrong with that. I loved his last race. And I love the switch to Ricardo Santana, like you guys mentioned, and I'm sure Mig can elaborate on it. But I'm excited to see what Ricardo does in the face of what some might call a little adversity, right? He had this great relationship with Steve, writing everything for Steve, and now he's not writing everything for Steve. He's having to be able to take his abilities and share those abilities, where for a long time he wasn't really able to do that. A guy like Tom Amoss is not going to ride Ricardo Santana in this race on Defeater because he knows if he wins that Ricardo is going to then take off to ride one of Steve's horses in the next division of this race. And I think that this is going to be a great opportunity for Ricardo and his agent, Ruben Munoz.
3-1 right now on Defeater. And, you brought up the point that Ricardo said no to a lot of these trainers and the doors might be closed for a while. I think opposite take, too. A lot of these trainers might be saying, wow, we have the 8-time leading rider in a row available to us for the first time in a long time.
We got an opportunity to get him now. And it's changed how they're going to have to approach their business. Cream rises to the top. Ruben does a great job, and Ricardo's a good rider. It'll be okay.
Superstock, Grade 1 Arkansas Derby winner, back in Hot Springs for the first time since that victory. Breaks from post 4. Here's the poinsettia. Vic Stoffer, the call.
They're off. Slow start, Defeater. Superstock is asked for speed, but Flash of Mischief is quicker, and Flash of Mischief will set the pace. Superstock away in second. At the rail, Last Samurai third. Myopic moves up 3 wide in fourth. Then comes Asimovich and the slow-starting Defeater, and Ram is at the back of the pack. It's Flash of Mischief over Myopic to the back stretch. Flash of Mischief leads by 1.5 lengths. Myopic is second, just a neck to Arkansas Derby winner Superstock, third at the rail and 2 from the front. Last to Samurai, guided off the rail by John Court. He'll attack 3 wide and 3 from the lead. Then comes Defeater, who takes his spot at the fence. Simovich is second to last with 5 lengths to make up. Ram is the trailer, 4.5 furlongs left to run in the first poinsettia, and Flash of Mischief is aggressive. It is Flash of Mischief, now past the half-mile marker, and he's 2 lengths in front of Myopic. Superstock bides his time at the rail. Third and 2.5 off the lead. Last Samurai has 3 lengths to make up. 2.5 back to Defeater. Then Simovich and Ram. Ram is out of last place and moving up at the rail. They round the far turn. Flash of Mischief has the lead. He's 1.5 lengths in front of Last Samurai, 3 wide, and here's Last Samurai up into second. Defeater is off the rail. Superstock stays at the fence. He's still got a good chance. Flash of Mischief leads. He's 1 length in front of Last Samurai and Superstock, who's now out for the drive. Then to the outside end, Defeater. Here's Last Samurai and Superstock, and they confront Flash of Mischief, Last Samurai and Superstock. These two will decide it. Last Samurai and neck. Superstock, Last Samurai to win the poinsettia. Last Samurai beat Superstock. Flash of Mischief was third. Defeater finished fourth.
61-year-old John Court on Last Samurai, out-dueling Luis Contreras and Superstock to the wire.
Well, Superstock had to extricate himself from the rail, got out in between horses, had his split here, was lingering on his wrong lead. See, he's running on his left lead where the winner, Last Samurai, is already on his right lead. Eventually he gets over, but by then, Last Samurai with the ageless John Court had his measure coming down to the wire. Last Samurai in raging form for Dallas Stewart, a former assistant to Hall of Famer Wayne Lucas, actually galloped the Derby winning filly, winning colors for him. And Last Samurai in good form. John Court it's just incredible. I rode with John Court throughout the years. He's still going and still getting it done and contributed an absolutely picture-perfect ride on the Last Samurai.
Meanwhile, for Defeater, again, problems out of the gate.
Yeah, he just doesn't react. The door's open, and he basically lets everybody else jump, and then he jumps and kind of puts himself at a disadvantage right off the break.
Last Samurai, the victory in the feature on this Saturday card here from Oaklawn. Third win in 12 career starts. It was a rematch with Superstock. He was in that Arkansas Derby as well. He was a huge price back when they met in the spring. He was 48-1. He was briefly on that Triple Crown trail. Didn't pan out, but now he's starting to come around late in his 3-year-old season.
And, we should have mentioned, too, the owner, Willis Horton. He and John Court and Dallas Stewart, they've had great success over the years, and somebody who has been a huge supporter of racing in Arkansas at Oaklawn Park. But nice to see them get a win here. And, again, just an absolutely picture-perfect ride from John Court on Last Samurai. And you saw when he took that peek back, just as they were getting to the quarter pole, he felt pretty good about the situation in front of him, wanted to see if there might be a challenge coming from behind. And when you see a crafty old veteran take that peek back, it's usually a pretty strong sign they got a lot of horse underneath there.
So Last Samurai, the win, 1-4, 3-2 finish. Big victory for the son of Malibu Moon. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, if you're a rider, it's not a question of if, but when you're going to get injured in this game. For David Cohen, cost him nearly 4 years of his career. We'll have his story when we come back.
It's a domineering display by the ultra-talented McKenzie. McKenzie preservationist Vino Rosso and Yoshida. McKenzie's in front.
McKenzie, they've done it. McKenzie has it by 2. It's McKenzie in a dominant performance. Pure class in the Malibu.
We're back on America's Day at the Races program, brought to you in part by the champion sprinter. Run Happy, never lost in his career while sprinting, did it all while racing. Medication-free feature in the books at Oaklawn. And it was Last Samurai, Dallas Stewart, John Court, Willis Horton Racing, and a son of Malibu Moon with the upset score.
Yeah, 10-20. John Court worked out a good trip, saved all the ground around the first turn, was able to angle out, pick his path as they headed to the second turn, and was able to outduel Superstock, who lingered a little too long on his left lead. When he finally got over his right lead, the race was decided. Last Samurai had the momentum.
Finale at Oaklawn. They're going to close things out with an allowance race worth $100,000. 3-year-olds and up, traveling 2 turns and a mile on the 16th. Palace Coup. Robertino Diodoro in really sharp form right now, including a dominant gate-to-wire score last time out. David Cohen will be aboard. David Cohen was just getting into a groove on the New York circuit when a paddock accident sent him to the sidelines. A fractured fibula and tibia turned out to be the least of his problems, though. It was just the start of what would have him sidelined nearly 4 years. Battling through injury and great personal loss, Cohen finally resurfaced and made an immediate impact upon his return.
In February of 2014 at Aqueduct, jockey David Cohen would see his career derailed after getting kicked by a horse in the paddock.
That broke my tibia and fibula. That put me out for about 9 months. I came back maybe a little prematurely, I'm not too sure. Lasted for about 2 weeks. Felt my injury was still bothering me. So at that time I chose to just kind of go back to rehab and figure it out.
The much-needed healing would extend beyond Cohen's leg. His hiatus away from the sport would last nearly 3 years.
Probably about 6 months after that, my father passed away, which anyone knows he was my best friend, and so it was pretty tough on me. And then had another passing away in my family. My sister passed away. So, you know, it took a lot of time mentally, not just physically, to get back right and before I wanted to come back to riding.
Oaklawn's 2018 season would be the kickstart he needed. Cohen would win 118 races for the year. His horses would earn nearly $7 million, and the sport would recognize his race riding by honoring him as Comeback Jockey of the Year.
Hybrid on a horseback. Heartwood, Gordy, Florida. A late bid here from Control Stake, but Heartwood I got too much horsepower. Takes the King Cotton, and he does it under David Cohen.
Coming from your peers and more of the inside of the industry, it really meant a lot. Didn't expect it. It really just developed into that type of year. A chance to reset and go back to just natural instinct of doing things, and was able to get my body back to zero and kind of reset my body, which I felt that really right now, and anyone that knows me, I'm probably in the best shape that I've ever been in. And really just blessed to be back from, you know, such a lengthy layoff and be in the opportunity to ride such quality horses and have that type of support from the owners and trainers.
Hybrid on a horseback. I got too much horsepower.
Well, anytime you're away from a sport at the highest level for even a little bit of time, not to mention nearly 4 years, it is difficult to get back to where you were. Tremendous job for David Cohen to get back to this point.
I can't even imagine 4 years. I mean, I had injuries where I was off 7 months, 7.5 months was the longest time off because of injury. 4 years, and to be able to come back and find the level that he's found, find his timing, find his confidence, get himself in the kind of shape you need to be in. But I think it underscores, you know, all the personal loss he went through on top of the injuries, just how constant a rider's life is. You know, you don't have the opportunity to grieve properly. You don't have the coping skills or the tools instilled in you because you start this life at such a young age. You're in a locker room competing with men when you're 16 years old. You don't go through the normal steps that you know, kids that go through high school and on to college go through. And it just underscores the pressure that you're under and just not being able to deal with things. And I'm very proud of David. I've known him since he's a kid. I competed with him in Southern California. And his maturity, the way he's grown up is what I'm most proud of him for. The riding secondary, the person is first.
Oh, he's had some big moments in his career, and he's going to be one of the guys that's in the mix, too, for that riding title this year, no question, at Oaklawn, as he has been several times in the past. One of his big moments, one of his biggest moments. How about this dead heat in the Travers back in 2012? He was on the 33-1 shot, golden ticket for Kenny McPeak.
Well, they hit the wire together, and it was too close to call, and he was in front every step of the way and dead heated. Just an incredible thing to, you know, dead heat in the Travers. Can't even imagine. And I'm certain it was the only dead heat since we've had a photo finish camera in the Travers. And I remember this day, you know, Ramon Dominguez and David holding up the trophies together, dual canoes.
They had to buy a new one.
I've been out there in that canoe. I've taken a paddle around there.
Where'd that second canoe go, by the way? Is it on standby in case there's another dead heat?
Yeah, I'm sure they've got it in the maintenance shed there. And we actually did a feature on all the Travers traditions, and we went out and got in the canoe, and we paddled around, and we filmed stuff. And I got out, and I pulled it up onto the shore of the little pond there in the infield, and I didn't pull it up far enough, and it floated away, and I had to go get one of the guys that worked in the maintenance, and he had to go out there at waiters to get it. I felt so bad. At least I took good care of him. I tipped him well. I felt very dumb.
Well, we're going to see David Cohen coming up with a nightcap ahead here at Oakland. He's going to be on one of the main contenders near Palace Coup. Talk about, we keep talking about the relationship with Asmus and Santana. Cohen and Diodoro have a pretty good relationship, too.
Yeah, absolutely. When a trainer and a jockey have confidence in each other, that's the best of things. And we've seen, a lot of times where those relationships ebb and flow. And sometimes you get away from each other. But if you're really confident in each other and you're good at what you do, somehow they gravitate back to each other.
Yeah, we're going to get to this 10th race from Oaklawn coming up. Again, 1 mile and a 16th in this money earned allowance. And speaking of Palace Coup, the one Cohen will ride, his horse's best weapon is his speed. He went gate to wire last time out at this 1 mile and 16th distance. That was on a sloppy track. Before that, just missed on a fast track at Keeneland in a tough spot as well. Missed by a neck running second. Who else in this race? I mean, you have some speed on the quarterback. Dak, the one, showed speed last time out. Who else puts pressure on Cohen here to try and upend things here for Palace Coup?
I just think Palace Coup is the most natural speed. I mean, even though the one-horse quarterback Dak showed speed last time, look at the internal fractions. They went a half and 49 and change, where, Palace Coup with an aggressive rider like David, he'll run 47 and change, 48 easily. So I do think he's the controlling speed, and particularly with David aboard. He's a very good gate rider and a guy that's not bashful about trying to take control of a race.
Do have maybe I don't know if he's a factor to win it, but a horse outside who did show speed last time out and wound up going gate to wire. Was in the mud at Churchill. That's 12. Is going to be a big price in this race for Dwayne Lucas.
Yeah, and he showed speed that day, but that was for maiden 50. Also, tough post.
Yeah.
He's got to use hard to try to clear from that outside draw.
Let's go back to the feature in this poinsettia and Last Samurai. John Court, Dallas Stewart, Willis Horton. It's going to be a popular win out in Hot Springs. Son of a Malibu Moon, winning for the 3rd time in his career. Let's go to Gary Stevens.
Here with John Court, rider of First Samurai in the Poinsettia. You've ridden this horse now 10 times in his career. Tell me about this horse and what you know about him.
Well, I tell you, I'm really partial to him because he's just one of those horses, just cool. He's great to get on, whether you're in the morning or in the afternoon. I always break away from the pony, whether he needs it or not. He's one of those when you're done in the race, whether he wins or doesn't win, he's one of them you'll want to just bring home and ride on your weekends because he's so pleasurable. And then when he runs, he gives us his all. And when you get to win a stakes race here at Oaklawn in the first running of the Poinsettia, it's just icing on the cake.
And when you get to this point in your career, I've been through it myself. Richie refers to you as the ageless John Court, and you are ageless. But the thing I noticed about you and riding with you, being friends with you, your riding sharpness and skills, your wits have sharpened over the years, and your finishing abilities. I mean, you were in a tussle coming through the stretch, and you finished as strong as any guy in the game.
Well, thank you, Gary. I appreciate that, and I want to spend a special thanks for Richard Migliore. He did dub me that, and I hear that a lot, and I appreciate that, and there's a few others out there, but I just wanted to get that out there. And, at this stage in the game, I'm very grateful, and I feel honored that I can do what I do, and that I'm competing with the best and winning with them.
One last thing, your relationship with Willis Horton. He's stuck with you through thick and thin, injuries, comebacks, whatnot, and still there for you today. What's this mean for you and Willis?
I tell you, it's an exceptional feeling when I win and seeing Willis. It's hard for me to put in words, but we have that connection. I call and I check on him, and he's just always been good for me when I do ride for him. And even if I don't, I'm always pulling for the Hortons. They've been a good Arkansas family to me, and I can't thank them enough.
Well, a great start to the holiday season. Congratulations, and enjoy the holidays.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Guys.
And how about John Court? So 61 years old. He recently at this meet, too, became just the 6th rider in the history of Oaklawn Park to notch 700 wins at this racetrack.
I mean, it's a huge number, and it just shows his consistency over time. And I think Gary said it right. He's actually gotten sharper. You know, as you age, it's just natural for any athlete, you're going to lose a little bit of your physicality, but what you gain from experience and your knowledge of the game and your vision of the game. But I don't see that with John. I don't see any erosion of his physical skills at all. If anything, he's just gotten better because he sees a race in slow motion now.
Good for him. Taking the feature on this Saturday card, still going strong, one of just 6 with a huge number at that racetrack. We got the finale still coming up. Mile and a 16th. Money earned allowance to close out the card. We'll be back. Stick with us post-parade when we return from the nightcap right after this.
Run Happy is the #1 second crop sire by stakes winners, graded stakes winners, and earnings. Run Happy is represented by Smile Happy, the Kentucky Derby individual Future Pool 1 favorite. A leading dirt sire and now with an exciting Kentucky Derby hopeful. Call Bernie Sams now and book your mare to Eclipse Champion Run Happy right now. Run Happy standing in stall 1 at Claiborne Farm.
Backstretch workers are the backbone of the thoroughbred racing industry. Without them, racing would not be possible. The New York Racetrack Chaplaincy provides vital programs and services to all the workers and their families, like Sponsor a Family, the Food Pantry, as well as other recreational activities and events. You can help by visiting our website and donating today. Every dollar makes a difference to those who give everything to the sport that we love.
Red. Gonna go for a ride, buddy? I'm gonna miss you, Red.
Grayson Jockey Club Research Foundation provides the best equine research to treat the horses we love.
I missed you, old boy.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
The first time I ever entered the gates of Elapa, at first I was pretty nonchalant. I've seen a lot of farms, and I came here and the gates opened, and for me it was magical. It was like something I've never seen before. You know, the goal has always been to sort of try to have a vibrant, thoroughbred farm, a bucolic, unique setting, respectful of all the buildings, everything in the past. It's a bit eclectic because Mr. Sims, one of the original owners of the farm, bought a horse from Europe called Prince Palatine, who I think is the 3rd grandsire of Prince Quillo, a very prominent horse in Europe. And the horse died in a barn fire, and he said, oh, no horse will ever die here in a fire again. So everything he built was stone and concrete, which today the challenge is that first in craftsmanship, availability of materials, and the expense would be impossible. So everything is here is done in stone. Our primary goal is obviously to be a great thoroughbred farm, to be the best we can be, stand the greatest stallions, raise the best horses. I believe the land gives us this opportunity. All our neighbors have been voices of the past of greatness. It's beautiful, but what are we here to see? Midnight Pursue, or Take Charge Brandy, or here's a yearling by Tappet, and here's a yearling by Into Mischief, and well, it's beautiful, and you're here to see Curlin. Beautiful, and you're here to see Go Sapper. He's an old veteran, but a great sire, great broodmare sire. Kitten's Joy has been 8 or 9 consecutive years the leading turf sire. Another great horse. Very excited about Army Mule, undefeated horse that we own with St. Elias. They're yearlings this year. Good Magic yearlings this year. Champion son of Curlin. I view the Stallion Barn as a NFL, NHL, college, any kind of team. Constant recruitment, try to get the best athlete you can. There's a great past, there's a great present and hopefully there's a great future.
What's an amazing facility, originally founded back in 1827, the history there. Program brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. As we get set to bring you our finale from Oakland coming up, here's our post parade. Quarterback Dak showed speed last time out at Keeneland, wound up third behind a next out winner.
Yeah, good controlled pace last time, but has a good advantageous inside post.
Otto, the legend, he actually wanted Oakland to break his maiden back in the spring.
Yeah, his last couple races leave a bit to be desired, but Steve Asmussen's horse are always going to take money there.
Palace Coup, here's David Cohen for Robertino Diodoro.
Horse that makes a lot of sense. I think he's the main controlling speed.
Continental Coins for Brett Calhoun.
Well, a horse that showed good speed last time after coming out of a turf sprint could be a part of the pace.
First time back at Oakland since he broke his maiden here back in April. Luck of the draw, Robertino Diodoro with this one as well, turf to dirt.
Yeah, good first start for Robertino Diodoro coming out of the Doug O'Neill barns, been racing in Southern California.
10-1 on Don't Show Weakness for Cipriano Contreras. He can be close.
Another horse that could have a say in how this race is run from a pace standpoint.
Mike Maker, Three Diamonds Farm, Ricardo Santana Jr. with Mr. Tip.
Yeah, get Ricardo Santana from Mike Maker. Both guys know how to win.
Phantom Dance, 4-1 here. Beat a neck to Arham, who was in that tough race this summer at Saratoga with Dak Daniels and Clayton Lionheart.
Yeah, and Phil D'Amato having a string at Oaklawn Park this winter. Very successful trainer in Southern California.
Here's Gigging, just claimed now with Norm Cash.
Yeah, tough draw is going to have to work out a trip.
And D. Wayne Lucas just claimed this horse last start, and in that start, this horse broke his maiden in the mud at Churchill Downs.
Can't remember the last time I saw Wayne Lucas claim a horse. I'm sure that he's done it over the years, but I hadn't seen in a while. This horse has some speed and is drawn very wide, though.
And the horse actually showed some ability in a straight maiden race out west in his debut at Santa Anita. Had a lot of trouble in that race.
Yeah, had a lot of trouble. Took money that day. Was only 3-1. So obviously a horse that had tipped his hand in his morning training.
Minute to post here coming up. Palace Coup, will he control on the front end? Let's go to Gary Stevens.
I think Richie's right. On paper, he's the controlling speed. But one thing about Oakland Park, these jocks, they ride aggressive here. It's a short run into this first turn. First turn going a mile and 16th, the same as the mile. There's a lot of horses with speed in this race, and everybody's going to want to be at the same place, in the same place at the same time. I noticed these horses warming up, and all of them were really on their toes. A couple of them being warmed up by themselves without the pony right now. The best-looking horse to me out here in the post parade, and there were some good-looking horses, is the 9-horse Phantom Dance. The thing I like about Phantom Dance is he's a little bit tactical. I mean, he doesn't mind setting just behind the pace. I think that the thing that Florent's going to have to worry about, Giroux, is getting over and saving some ground around the first turn. If you're 5-6 wide around the first turn, it's going to hurt you in the end of the race. So it's going to be a jockey's race right here. I think that you're probably going to be able to throw a net over all of them going into that first turn. Could get a little rough going into the first turn, but hey, better them than me at this point in time. Guys?
Yeah. You're probably thinking the same thing here. We'll see if David Cohen can be the one that controls out. He's 5-2. There is Palace Coup. That outside runner, obviously, going to have to try and get over and save ground, but he's intriguing.
I'm sorry, I'm still chuckling over what Gary said because it's just funny how your mindset changes. You're a kid, you start riding. You almost relish that crush into the first turn, the adrenaline rush of it, the speed, the danger. And as you get older, it kind of ebbs a little bit. You start going, man, I hope I get through this first turn in good shape. It's just funny how your perspective changes over time.
Especially you had gone through some injuries and things like that.
But it's just funny now that, like, watching from the outside, I'll see them going into that first turn. I go, oh, come on, guys, take care of each other. But when you start riding, you're not thinking like that at all. You've got reckless abandon.
Post time coming up. Let's get Jonathan's thoughts on how to play this race.
Yeah, guys, look, it's going to be tough at Gulfstream, at Oaklawn Park. There's going to be a lot of times where these Diodoro horses are just going to be completely overbet, and there's nothing we can do about it. You got to try to make a decision. The 3 Palace Coup, he feels like the type of horse to me that is going to continue to improve after switching to Diodoro's barn. He's got a speed figure edge. He's never run at Churchill Downs. He's run at Churchill Downs the last time. He hasn't run at Oaklawn Park. A little bit of a concern, but I still think that this is the horse you want. He's got tactical speed, and it's hard to take a favorite at Oaklawn, but 5-2 still a square price.
All right, JK, thanks. Yeah, he remains the favorite. There's a horse in here who beat him. Luck of the draw. The 5, who's 10-1, had actually beat this horse when he was in another Barnes care, but that was just 3 starts ago out west at Del Mar.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's a very interesting race. And the thing that, to me, that's so tough about handicapping Oaklawn, particularly early in this meet, is just such a confluence of horses from so many different jurisdictions that trying to sort through what form is actually going to translate well at Oaklawn Park. And now, obviously, the meet's gotten longer and longer. Last year, they went all the way to Kentucky Derby weekend. This year, they're starting a month earlier. It should give us more of an opportunity to kind of see confirmed Oaklawn Park form, but it's still very early in the meet.
There's Palace Coup, the 3 in those white blinkers with David Cohen teaming up with Robertino Diodoro. Can he get separation early? It's the nightcap from Oaklawn. Let's go to Vic Stauffer for the call.
Gigging. 2 more now. Continental Coins and Mia Comet. They're at the post. They're off. Very slow start. Quarterback Dak. Very fast start. Palace Coup between horses. Then to the far outside and Mia Comet. These 2 are quickest into stride. Continental Coins away a close 3rd. Then at the rail, Otto the Legend. Between horses, Luck of the Draw. Moving up a bit is Don't Show Weakness. Next comes Mr. Tip, followed by Phantom Dance. Quarterback Dak, and the trailer to the backstretch is Gigging. Strung out over a lot of ground and going very fast, it is Palace Coup confronted on the outside by Mia Comet, and Mia Comet's going to put a neck in front. Palace Coup is second, 2.5 lengths. 2 at the rail, and Continental Coins just outside of him, Don't Show Weakness. Otto the Legend is 5th with about 5 lengths to make up, 3 in front of Luck of the Draw. Phantom Dance has 12 to close, and then a length to Mr. Tip, Quarterback Dak, and the trailer is Gigging as they leave the backstretch, and the front runners are about to be caught by both between horses, Continental Coins, and to the outside, Don't Show Weakness, and these 2 come after. So Mia Comet is the leader. Continental Coins and Don't Show Weakness. Phantom Dance is beginning to advance. So is Luck of the Draw in the center. Here's Luck of the Draw. Palace Coup has dropped out of it. Top of the stretch, Mia Comet is the lead. Luck of the Draw comes after him. Phantom Dance has moved up into 5th, and here's Luck of the Draw in the center. It is Mia Comet, but Luck of the Draw has taken over the lead, and now he's a length in front of Mia Comet in second. Then comes from the between horses, Otto the Legend, and to the outside, Gigging is closing. Luck of the Draw, Otto the Legend, Luck of the Draw in front. Luck of the Draw beat Otto the Legend. Then came Phantom Dance and Gigging.
Luck of the Draw, mentioned it finished ahead of Palace Coup when they last met out on the West Coast. He wins this race. That was a big, big effort, though, from Mia Comet on the outside for D. Wayne Lucas off the claim.
Yeah, to come from that post, be caught wide in the first turn, slingshot to the lead down the backstretch, hanging there till the 8th pole before finally succumbing. But we spent so much time talking about the 3 Palace Coup from the Robertino Diodoro barn. It was the other Robertino Diodoro, who you didn't mention, to be fair, who got the patient trip, got it done. The 2-horse Otto the Legend squeezing through tight quarters mid-stretch under Louis Contreras for trainer Steve Asmussen with a good run. But I will say, look for Mia Comet with a better draw next time. This horse ran blood and guts the entire race.
That was impressive. And Francisco Arrieta, he had to work all the way from that outside post to get that horse. So he actually was in front early on over Palescu. Facing winners for the first time, just the third start of his career, but it's luck of the draw who gets the win here. Robertino Diodoro taking over the training duties of this 5-year-old son of Lookin' at Lucky, who wins for the 7th time in his career to close out the card in Hot Springs on this Saturday afternoon. It's a fun card today.
Great card. Terrific day of racing here at Aqueduct. We saw some nice performances, and Oaklawn always delivers. Big fields, competitive racing, a lot of value. If you like a horse, good chance you're going to get paid. And yeah, just terrific day of racing all around.
One of the many things most people in this sport already looking forward to as we get set to turn the page to 2022 is this showdown of elites. Life is Good, Classic winner Knicks Go. 2 of the fastest horses we have in the game, 2 of the best horses we have in this game right now. And the battle on the front end that could take place in that Pegasus World Cup. Life is Good, training out at Windstar in Kentucky for this showdown that we all hope happens.
It's always interesting and it's always exciting when top-class racehorses hook up, but it goes to a whole nother level with Life is Good and Knicks Go because they have the same style. Their thing, their weapon in their artillery is their speed. They're both fast and they both want to race on the lead. What happens when 2 immovable forces collide?
When I start thinking about it, I can't even imagine. It's just incredible that this would happen. We hope it does. And everyone, I don't know, it seems like a lot of people giving the edge, at least in terms of who's going to be in front of Life is Good, because he's so quick.
I feel like Life is Good.
Like?
I feel like Life is Good possesses sprinter speed quality. Knicks Go is very fast.
Do you remember the fractions he set in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile?
Yes. I just think that Life is Good is just a little bit naturally faster. Knicks Go is best when he gets in that rhythm. Yeah. And even though he's going fast, he's not going slow by any means. So I don't want to, portray it like that. But he's basically going 11 and change to an 8th, where this horse is running 11s.
And he's always done undefeated around 2 turns under the care of Brad Cox, your classic winner, Knicks Go.
Sure.
He's always been on the front end when he's done it. Is there a scenario where he could potentially not be in front and still win the race?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, I don't really see it. I think, his thing is bowling along and bottoming everybody out, but I think he's going to look over and either have someone next to him in Life is Good or someone in front of him in Life is Good. Listen, I think it's fantastic. I'm a huge fan of both horses. Styles make races, and their styles to me are just so similar. Could it set up for someone else to come pick up the pieces?
Yeah. Horse that would have been your favorite, the Kentucky Derby, got sidelined by injury. And who just collectively everyone thinks in this game is just absolutely brilliant. Showed that in his comeback. He has not missed a step. He's actually gotten better, it seems like, since he's come back. Doesn't have those bearing out problems. Of course, we all know about Knicks Go and his resume. He's going to be the horse of the year. What a matchup that will be. Todd Pletcher, not only with Life is Good on that program, he's been a long time away for Colonel Liam. And the last time we saw him disappointed in the Manhattan, but leading up to that, he put together 4 consecutive victories, including a dead heat with domestic spending in the Turf Classic at Churchill Downs.
Yeah, and he had to work his way through traffic. He negotiated his traffic, got the clear, finished very strongly. Todd Pletcher, very, very adept at getting horses ready to win off of layoffs. A guy that puts a lot of foundation into his horses, a lot of miles. It's going to be interesting.
Won this race this year, back on January 23rd. That was the 2nd win of that 4-race win streak. He's been impressive, but a long time away to try and win a race of that kind of caliber. He's been off since June 5th, but Pletcher said, look, he's obviously a Hall of Fame trainer. He's going to bring him back right. Says he's doing really well.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of trouble with the layoff with Todd Pletcher. I mean, he's a guy that just puts so much foundation in his horses that, to me, I don't see that as an issue. And watching that isolated replay, horse has got an amazing stride. The way he gets up underneath himself and really kind of steps over. Really beautiful stride.
Meanwhile, this nightcap again at Oaklawn. Ramon Vasquez and, the other Diodoro horse, luck of the draw, just moving into the care of his barn, now winning for the 7th time in his career.
Yeah, and got a nice patient ride from Ramon Vasquez, excuse me. Good day racing, some big prices too at Oaklawn.
I'll say that pick 3 for $2, over $1,200. About $7,000 for the 50-cent pick 5. Good luck, or congrats to whoever put that together. Well done. That's good handicapping. This was fun. We're back tomorrow on FS1, beginning at 2 Eastern time. We will see you then. Glass ceiling, impressive. In the sloppy going in the Garland of Roses, Charlie Baker has her in tremendous form. Dylan Davis with a nice job piloting her to victory. And Last Samurai with the upset score with the ageless wonder, 61-year-old John Court. We'll see you tomorrow, 2 Eastern on FS1.